Chapter 135. Greetings, Miss Nalan and Sir Hunyuan. Zhang Jiuxiao was a defeated general, so he naturally didn't dare to be arrogant in front of Nalan Fei and Hunyuan. He respectfully bowed to them. What's going on? The two's gazes fell on Xinghui. Zhang Jiuxiao was ordered by Baiyu to go to the Long Whale Island overseas to ask the island master to take my life. After I killed the island master, he was captured alive and taught a lesson to change his ways. Xinghui gave a simple introduction. The island master. Nalan Fei thoughtfully glanced at Xinghui. I didn't expect you to already have such cultivation. You flatter me. Xinghui turned to Zhang Jiuxiao. He has all kinds of evidence that Baiyu betrayed the Hunyuan Heaven sect, especially evidence that she spread the awakening chapter of the Black Hole Sutra. The Black Hole Sutra? You mean the Hunyuan Heaven sect's secret technique, the Black Hole Sutra? Yes. Xinghui directly took out the Black Hole Sutra he had prepared. Baiyu personally wrote this. Although we can't judge anything from the handwriting, it's completely different with Zhang Jiuxiao's explanation. With this, we can completely overthrow Baiyu and have the Hunyuan Heaven sect strip her of her identity as a true disciple. Then, we'll have the punishment department pursue her responsibility. When that happens, Baiyu will undoubtedly die. Now that the Hunyuan Heaven sect's over-God scripture has been leaked, Baiyu is dead for sure. However, we still have to remove you from this matter. Otherwise, whether or not you've read the awakening chapter of the Black Hole Sutra, the punishment department will most likely kill you to ensure that not a single word of the Black Hole Sutra is leaked. As a true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Nalan Fei understood the Hunyuan Heaven sect style and quickly pointed out the key problem. Is the Hunyuan Heaven sect so overbearing? You're underestimating the 10 great sects' monopoly over their secret techniques. We need to change our story. Zhang Jiuxiao, I intercepted you when you were planning to go overseas. Do you understand? Zhang Jiuxiao was taken aback and turned to Xinghui. According to Annie, Xinghui hadn't expected that a mere Black Hole Sutra awakening chapter would cause so much trouble. However, he still said in a deep voice, however, Zhang Jiuxiao has appeared in Dragon Whale City before. Many people have personally witnessed this. Moreover, I've just occupied Dragon Whale Island. I can't guarantee that this news will be completely suppressed. I'm afraid this matter will arouse suspicion. Then let's just pretend that there was no such thing. Nalan Fei said without hesitation. Since this matter involves the Hunyuan Heaven sect's secret technique, it's definitely not a small matter. It's best if we keep this news to ourselves. It seems that I've underestimated the situation. Xinghui said, then let's stick to the original plan. I'll go and kill Baiyu. No. Damn. Baiyu is a true disciple. If you kill her, even if you escape overseas, you'll still be hunted down by the punishment department. However, I'm also a true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect and have Heaven's backing. Even if the punishment department of the Hunyuan Heaven sect punishes me, they won't be able to threaten my life. After Nalan Fei finished speaking, she continued with a solemn expression. Moreover, this matter needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Once the news of Dragon Whale Island being occupied by you spreads out, or Baiyu learns that Zhang Jiuxiao has fallen into your hands, she will definitely connect it to the fact that her private transmission of the Black Hole True Scripture has been exposed. To prevent her from taking the risk of mutual destruction, we have to kill her before she spreads the news and eliminate all future troubles. Xinghui frowned. He originally wanted to use the Black Hole Sutra's awakening chapter to topple Baiyu, but now it seemed that the Black Hole Sutra's awakening chapter was a landmine. Anyone who touched it would die. He had already fallen into a situation where he could lose his life if he wasn't careful. Baiyu's matter arose because of me. I'll be the one to kill her. Moreover, I'll immediately head overseas after dealing with the matters on the mainland. The Hunyuan Heaven sect may not be able to send people to chase after me. You don't understand. Even if the punishment department doesn't want to take this matter seriously, Baiyu is still the left and right arm of the Sky Origin Peak Master. He can't just watch his trusted aide be killed without doing anything. Otherwise, who will be loyal to him in the future? Under his pressure, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect will most likely send a Hall Master to Dragon-Slaying Island to hunt you down. Time is of the essence, so I'll immediately head to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect to kill by you. Sir Blazing Glory, I'll have by launching bring you to the trade. He'll be in charge of this matter, so just follow him. Understood. Yin Huang nodded. I'll rush over to join you after I've dealt with my matters. Sing Hui said. His original intention was to help Nalan Fei, but in the end, he still forced Nalan Fei onto the path of killing by you. Don't worry, with Tianxiong around, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect won't dare to do anything to me. Nalan Fei seemed to have seen through Sing Hui's thoughts and said with a smile. Sing Hui nodded. In the end, he wasn't strong enough. Although his cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds during this period, and his battle strength wasn't any weaker than a Spirit Chi Unity stage expert, he was still not worth mentioning in front of the colossal Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Any Hall Master in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect had the ability to kill him, even if he used a saint technique. Nalan Fei immediately summoned Bai Lansheng and gave him instructions. After he and Yin Huang discussed the specific matters, she left the Luo Lin royal capital and headed towards the Eastern Cloud Empire. After Nalan Fei left, Sing Hui didn't want to wait any longer. He summoned Xian Long, and the two rode a more convenient flying beast towards the setting Sun Mountain Range, over 10,000 kilometers away. The setting Sun Mountain Range was a large mountain range located on the border between the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and the Jinwu religion. The scale of the mountain range wasn't inferior to the Cloud Wilderness mountain range. The two top sects, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and the Jinwu religion, used the setting Sun Mountain Range as their base. To the east of the setting Sun Mountain Range was the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's territory, while to the west was the Jinwu religion's territory. Although the setting Sun Mountain Range was a mountain range, it was different from the Cloud Wilderness mountain range. In this mountain range, there weren't any deep mountains or old forests. The number and strength of the fierce beasts were far from being comparable to the Cloud Wilderness mountain range. Under such circumstances, the entire mountain range naturally had a large number of human settlements. These settlements varied in size. The small ones were villages with a few hundred or a few thousand people, while the large ones were cities built in the mountain range and had a population of several million. With a base population, cultivation sects would naturally be born. Because this mountain range was a buffer zone between the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and the Jinwu religion, the strength of these cultivation sects wasn't weak. Many sects even had spirit refining stage experts overseeing them. Sing Hui and Xian Long continued forward and soon arrived at a mountainous area covered with rocks. The two searched the mountainous area for a day, but didn't find the 3 stones surrounding the moon that cultivator Jing Guang had mentioned. For a time, Xian Long couldn't help but sweat profusely. It's obviously in this area. Logically speaking, it should be within a few dozen kilometers of this mountain range. Why isn't there the 3 stones surrounding the moon? Sing Hui didn't think that Xian Long would lie to him. He sized up the mountain range, and his gaze quickly fell on a place. Here, there seems to be someone quarrying in. Xian Long was awakened by Sing Hui and quickly noticed the abnormality. Many areas in this mountain range had traces of quarrying. Those strangely shaped and brightly colored rocks had obviously been moved away by quarrying people, and the direction they moved to 30 kilometers away, there was a sect. Look over there. The layout, there's the 3 stones encircling the moon. It's just that it's missing a huge rock, and the location of the 3rd huge rock has traces of being excavated by someone. Therefore, the place we're looking for should be there. Sing Hui searched for a while and finally stopped in the middle of the 3 huge rocks. Xian Long carefully adjusted his position and immediately became happy. Yes, it's here. The rock under our feet should be able to be moved away. If we move this rock, we'll be able to enter cultivator Jingguang's treasury. After saying that, he couldn't wait to move the 5 to 6,000 kilograms boulder under his feet. This rock didn't look small, but it was actually a flat rock, like a manhole cover. As Xian Long moved it away, an entrance about 2 meters in diameter appeared in front of them. It seemed that no one had entered the entrance for a while. There were many weeds growing around it, but this didn't affect their search. "Let's go." After saying that, Sing Hui directly stepped in. The two of them went less than 30 meters underground. The tunnel gradually leveled out, and some light appeared in front of them. As the two of them walked closer, they saw many valuable sunstones emitting a dazzling white light, illuminating the entire underground cavern. "Young master, be careful. There should be some traps up ahead. Should we invite a trap master? No matter how strong a trap is, it won't be able to unleash its power without someone controlling it. Just be careful." After saying that, Sing Hui slowed down slightly, and at the same time, increased his concentration to the maximum. However, at this moment, there was a sudden exclamation from the ground behind him. "What is this? There's an entrance here. A man-made entrance. A cave. A cave. There's an underground cave here. Quick, quick, send the news to the sect master. We've discovered a mysterious underground cave." Hearing the chaotic voices above, Sing Hui frowned. At this moment, a stream of light suddenly shot out in front of them, causing Sing Hui to quickly dodge. This dodge seemed to have triggered a chain reaction. The stone bricks on the ground kept changing and assembling, forming a pit. Fortunately, Sing Hui immediately flew up on his sword and stood in the air. "All right, this level of trap can't do anything to me. Guard the door and try not to let the people from that sect in. If there are experts in that sect, they can leave first and wait for me in the Lorraine Kingdom. I can go in alone. Young master, please be careful." Sing Hui nodded. Immediately, the flying sword whistled and shot forward, using the flying sword to explore the path and trigger the trap. After the flying sword triggered the trap once, he slowly moved forward. As a result, he didn't encounter too much danger along the way. After walking 300 to 400 meters, he turned a corner and a brightly framed hall appeared in front of him. Chapter 136. 100 Ocean City. A coastal city at the border of Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The city scale was not big, and the number of people living in the city was less than 100,000. However, the cultivators who came and went in the city were not easy to deal with. Ordinary, true Qi realm cultivators were hard to find in the capital of a kingdom, but here they were common. From time to time, there would even be spirit-refining cultivators with vigorous Qi appearing, attracting the reverence of the crowd. For a small city under the jurisdiction of Hunyuan Heaven Sect to be able to develop to such a scale and attract so many cultivators, it didn't make sense. The only explanation was that this city was extraordinary, and Hunyuan Heaven Sect acquiesced to its existence. In fact, this was indeed the case. 100 Ocean City had the largest black market in Hunyuan Heaven Sect's coastal area. When Hunyuan Heaven Sect's true disciples, deacons, and even elder-level figures urgently needed a treasure but didn't have enough spirit stones, they would leak out some of Hunyuan Heaven Sect's specialties that couldn't be bought in ordinary places and let loose cultivators bid for them at high prices. The items were precious, and it was close to the sea. If they encountered danger, they could directly escape into the sea. With all kinds of advantages, the city's black market naturally attracted everyone's attention and developed to its current scale. At this time, under Bai Lanqing's lead, Yan Huang directly found the largest chamber of commerce in the black market. After reporting the secret code of Hunyuan Heaven Sect's true disciples, the two were quickly welcomed into a single room inside the Chamber of Commerce. After waiting for a moment in the single room, a man who looked to be in his 40s and had a trace of lethargy on his body came into the room. "And your family's miss isn't here?" The middle-aged man's gaze paused on Bai Lanqing for a moment and said with some dissatisfaction, "Mr. Qian, our miss happened to be delayed by something important, so she could only send me to bring Mr. Yin here to trade with you. Please forgive us. You should know that I don't do business with strangers." The man called Mr. Qian swept his gaze over Yan Huang. Under Bai Lanqing's somewhat troubled gaze, he slowly opened his mouth. "However, your family's young miss is also an old customer. I'll let it go this time, but there won't be a next time. Thank you, Mr. Qian, for your accommodation." Bai Lansheng heaved a sigh of relief. However, Yin Huang's gaze sized up Mr. Qian. He felt that this Mr. Qian seemed somewhat familiar. You want to exchange for spiritual fire crystals, right? It just so happens that a big shot from the Hunyuan Heaven sect is selling a lot of fire spirit crystals, a total of 100 of them. That big shot's price is only 180. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Fire spirit crystals are very rare on the market. You're lucky to encounter 100 of them this time. If you don't buy them now, you won't have another chance. 180. When Blazing Glory heard this price, he couldn't help but be surprised. This price was much lower than their initial estimate of 1 to 200. In particular, that big shot had given away 100 spiritual crystals of fire at one go. Since he was able to complete this transaction in one go, there was no need for him to waste any more time. Thus, he nodded and said, "All right then, 180 pinnacle fire spirit stones, right? We have a total of 14,500 pinnacle fire spirit stones on hand. Sure, let's go and trade." Not here. Bai Lansheng felt a little strange. 75 spiritual fire crystals isn't a small number. Moreover, 100 Ocean City isn't exactly peaceful. For safety reasons, we naturally have to keep those treasures well. Are you going to buy them or not? Don't tell me you don't have enough pinnacle fire spirit stones on hand. Let me tell you, you won't get anything good out of messing with me. Mr. Qian's expression turned cold as he spoke. Of course. Please lead the way, Mr. Qian. Yin Huang was not very familiar with the black market's rules, but he did not want to miss out on this transaction. Thus, he stood up and spoke. "Follow me," Mr. Qian said indifferently. Then, he led the two of them to wander aimlessly around the alleys of 100 Seas City. "Your Excellency Bai Lansheng, is this Mr. Qian reliable?" Yin Huang followed behind Mr. Qian, vaguely feeling that something was amiss. He should be reliable. Young Miss has been dealing with him for the past few years, and there haven't been any accidents. However, when Young Miss trades with them, they're basically small transactions. It's very rare to see a large transaction of nearly 2 million spirit stones like this. Is there anyone else who has fire spirit crystals? Bai Lansheng did not understand, but he still said, "Lord Yin Huang, you want to exchange 75 fire spirit crystals in one go. It's really not a small number. If you miss out on this opportunity, you can only buy a few pieces at most. Who knows how much time you'll have to spend?" Yin Huang did not know how to choose for a moment. It took him a whole hour to finish this round of searching. Just when Yin Huang was about to lose his patience, a courtyard with a closed door appeared in front of him. Seeing this courtyard, Yin Huang's eyes narrowed slightly. "We were here just now? You're leading us around in circles?" Hee. It's a circular formation. At this time, Mr. Qian also stopped in front of the tightly shut courtyard. As he stood in front of the door, a fog seemed to rise in the surroundings, rendering the surroundings hazy. Even if Yin Huang, a spirit refining expert, tried his best to look, he could not see more than 10 meters of the fog. This is a formation? The foundation of the Fortune Gates formation? Seeing the fog isolating the surroundings, Yin Huang's expression changed greatly. Who said only the Fortune Gate knows about formations? Mr. Qian said slowly. "Mr. Qian, what do you mean by this? Could it be that you want to take advantage of us? You're also someone with status in the black market. Why would you take the risk for goods worth less than 2 million spirit stones, violate the rules of the 100 Ocean City, and bring trouble to yourself? 2 million spirit stones? 2 million spirit stones can't even buy a rank 5 divine weapon. Naturally, it's not worth my risk, but..." Mr. Qian's gaze fell on Yin Huang, and a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. An 8th-rank son of chaos, to those cultivators who are stuck in the realm and urgently need a breakthrough, is definitely a sky-high price. Not to mention a rank 5 divine weapon. Even a rank 6 divine weapon would be worth it. Don't you think so, Mr. Yin? Or should I say, Your Excellency Yin Huang? You're our Dawn's traitor, Long Ying? Yin Huang's eyes narrowed. Traitor? Long Ying's face revealed a smile that was not a smile. Swoosh. Just as Yin Huang was shaken by the news of Dragon Shadow, revealing his identity, a beautiful figure floated over from the fog. In an instant, a palm landed on Yin Huang's spine, and a fine power rumbled down, shattering all the nerves in his body, causing him to be paralyzed in an instant. Looking at the beautiful figure's appearance, Yin Huang's eyes suddenly widened. In the next moment, intense pain assaulted him, and he completely fainted. Bai Lanqing's reaction to the sudden change was extremely fast, and he immediately wanted to fly out as fast as he could. Unfortunately, whether it was that woman or the exposed Long Ying, they were both divine Qi Unison experts. Just as he flew out, a blade light had already torn through the void and slashed across his throat. Blood instantly filled the air. "You're too reckless." The woman who walked out from the fog didn't even glance at the dead Bai Lanqing as she spoke with a cold expression. "Don't worry, we have to be careful when dealing with other sons of chaos, but absolutely no one will suspect us of this. His true identity has already been exposed, and anyone can kill him. In fact, with him as an excuse, you can even openly deal with another 7th-stage son of chaos, and you don't have to throw me out as a scapegoat anymore." Longing shrugged and said indifferently, "Bring him back and interrogate him about the primal chaos incantation. Just this once." The woman's cold voice sounded, and then she turned and disappeared into the fog. "This is the treasure that loose cultivator golden light collected." Sing Hui's eyes lit up slightly. There were many things in the storeroom, and many of these things had a strong Jin Wu religion style, and even saw the insignia of the Jin Wu religion on some of the treasure chests. Clearly, Lu's cultivator golden light had directly moved these things over from the destroyed Jin Wu religion and hadn't had time to open them. He hurried forward and headed toward the chest with the densest fire elemental energy. As he opened the chest, a fiery red, or that looked like a heart, appeared before him. "This is a 7th-stage material, the Heart of Flames." A 7th-stage material could be forged into a 7th-stage divine weapon that was already in the category of the Sage realm. Such a divine weapon was considered the top existence even in the 10 great sacred sects. Usually, only those grand elders or sect leaders who were always in seclusion were qualified to use it. Although the value of a 7th-stage material was much lower than that of a 7th-stage divine weapon, with the divine protection technique, he didn't have to worry about this problem at all. Swish! After putting away the Heart of Flames with a wave of his hand, Sing Hui hurriedly went to the other chests. When the chests opened, rich fire elemental energy immediately filled the air, causing the temperature in the hall to rise greatly. Inside the chests, there was an entire chest of fire spirit ores. Without exception, these fire spirit ores were all top-grade fire spirit ores, and there were probably no less than 10,000 of them. But this wasn't the main point. The main point was that there were a total of 6 chests of this type. That's 60,000. A branch religion actually had so many top-grade fire spirit ores. Even if it was related to the Jin Wu religion's collection of fire spirit ores, it was enough to prove the wealth of the 10 great sacred sects. Compared to the 10 great sacred sects, the wealth of the Dragon Whale Island was simply not on the same level. Great Sun Essence. The most important thing is the Great Sun Essence. Sing Hui's gaze swept through the chests for a moment and soon came to the 3 chests that were most likely to contain the Great Sun Essence. As he impatiently opened one of the chests, a long-awaited pure qi once again assaulted his senses. Great Sun Essence. Looking at the Great Sun Essence emitting a blazing light, Sing Hui took a deep breath. Spirit Refining Realm. He could rest easy. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Chapter 137. Pa. Ching Su stowed away the essence of the sun in the box before opening the 2nd and 3rd boxes without any hesitation. The remaining 2 boxes contained a portion of Great Sun Essence. Just the 3 portions of Great Sun Essence made the trip to Golden Light Wanderer's Mansion worthwhile. With the Phoenix Feather, 3 portions of Great Sun Essence can be used as 6 portions. Even if the requirement for Great Sun Essence increases when I reach the Spirit Refining Realm, It would not be difficult for me to reach the small success of spirit refining realm with these great sun essences. Singhui kept these items in his personal space. Considering that Xian Long was still outside and an unknown sect was sending experts in this direction, he couldn't carefully identify the rest of the items. He could only do his best to put them into his personal space. At this moment, his personal space was extremely tightly packed. Xiao, after stowing everything away, Qing Su took off and directly made his way out of the treasury. Before long, he had passed through the several hundred meters of danger zone and arrived at the entrance of the underground treasury. At this moment, Xian Long was at the entrance, making use of the geographical advantage to confront the expert from the unknown sect. Due to the short period of time, the unknown sect had sent 3 Awakening Realm experts and 1 True Chi Realm Elder. With this lineup, it would not be difficult to defeat Xian Long. If Xian Long had not been hiding at the entrance, he would have been severely injured or even killed. Audacious scoundrel! How dare you intrude into our sun-chasing sect's forbidden area and steal our sect's treasures? You deserve to die 1,000 times over for your crimes. Come out and surrender now, and we can still let you off lightly. Otherwise, when our sect master and supreme elder arrive, you won't have another chance. I advise you not to take any chances. This area has been completely sealed off by our sun-chasing sect disciples. No matter where you escape to, don't even think about escaping from our pursuit. From above came the loud shout of the true energy boundary expert. His voice was filled with a threatening intent. However, Xian Long ignored it and made use of the geographical advantage to contend with the elders and experts of the sun-chasing sect. All right, Qing Su's voice rang out from within. A while later, he had already taken out a high grade, sort of the 3rd grade. Try it and see if it fits you. He wanted to give Xian Long a tier 4 divine weapon as a reward for bringing him to this treasure room. However, no matter if it was the Dragon Whale Island Lord, Yin Tao, Wu Chang, Guza, Hyun Fan, or Lady Yuzhen, none of them were good at using swords. Thus, the tier 4 divine weapon he obtained was naturally unorthodox. This is a high-grade tier 3 divine weapon. Xian Long waved the sword in his hand and immediately felt the compatibility between the tier 3 divine weapon and his sky rock soaring art. He said excitedly, "Young master, thank you for the reward. Watch this subordinate defeat these sun-chasing sect disciples." As soon as he finished speaking, he grabbed his sword and charged out of the underground tunnel. In the blink of an eye, he was fighting with a True Chi Realm Warrior and 3 Awakening Realm Warriors. Finally, you are no longer a coward. As the voice came from above, Singhui slowly walked out of the tunnel. "Elder, there's another one here. He's a true energy realm expert." At this moment, some people saw Qing Su walking over from below. When they sensed the presence of true Qi on him, all of their expressions changed drastically. True energy realm, the sun-chasing sect's elder, who was fighting with Xian Long, was distracted. Xian Long immediately seized the opportunity and stabbed 3 bloody holes in the elder's body with sword chi. "How dare you be so presumptuous? Our sun-chasing sect is a subsidiary sect of the Hunyuan heaven sect. How dare you hurt our sun-chasing sect's people? You are an enemy of the Hunyuan heaven sect." The true energy realm expert glared at Xian Long with rage in his eyes. "A subsidiary sect of the Hunyuan heaven sect?" Qing Su smiled. "Let alone the fact that you're not a member of the Hunyuan heaven sect. Even if you were a core disciple, so what? So what if I'm a true disciple of the Hunyuan heaven sect? I want to see who dares to not put my Hunyuan heaven sect in their eyes." At this moment, a voice full of energy came from afar. The voice was not loud, but it contained an extremely powerful penetrating force. Singhui was slightly better, but Xian Long, who was only in the awakening realm, was hit by the sound wave. He could not help but let out a muffled groan as blood flowed out of his ears. Divine Qi unification? Such a brilliant method made Singhui's expression change slightly. He did not expect to meet a divine Qi unification realm expert in such a remote place. As Tsing-Hui looked towards the source of the sound, he saw an old man with fiery red hair and elegant silver hair. He looked like an immortal walking over with large strides. Behind him, there were more than a dozen figures following from afar. Among them, every one of them was in the awakening realm. Among them, the leader had actually reached the spirit refining realm. In the setting Sun Mountain range, cultivators in the spirit refining realm could already be considered the strongest. Unfortunately, Tsing Hui had roamed the sea and killed more than one divine Qi unification realm expert. Ordinary spirit refining cultivators were no longer in his eyes. After a glance, he planned to withdraw his gaze. Just as he was about to withdraw his gaze, among the dozen figures, a woman in an elegant long dress attracted his gaze. This woman was in her 20s. Her long hair draped over her shoulders, and she was an outstanding beauty. Especially when she ran, her elegant long dress fluttered in the wind, making her look like a fairy that had walked out from a painting. People could not help but be attracted by her fairy-like appearance. When Tsing Hui stared at the woman seemed to have noticed Tsing Hui's gaze and involuntarily looked towards him. Their gazes collided in the air. One was indifferent, the other was startled. After the startled look, it turned into surprise. "If it's you, Arisher Yudo." Tsing Hui looked at the woman who was gradually approaching. He did not think that he would see Arisher Yudo again under such circumstances. After a moment, he seemed to have thought of something, and his gaze fell on the old man with the air of an immortal, divine Qi unification realm. He was also traveling together with Arisher Yudo. In addition, these people who claimed to be from the Juri sect, there was no need to say much about this old man's identity. It was none other than Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's elder Juri. "Yutong, you know this child?" Juri's gaze swept between Tsing Hui and Arisher Yudo. He was somewhat surprised. Yes. Arisher Yudo looked at Tsing Hui. She could faintly feel the pressure of a true Qi realm expert from Tsing Hui's body. For a moment, her gaze could not help but become complicated. Although she had paid special attention to Tsing Hui's various experiences over the past few months, she knew that he had killed young Master Long Quan, offended Fairy Baiyu, and was still free and unfettered despite Fairy Baiyu's revenge. However, when she saw Tsing Hui in person, she still felt somewhat unwilling in her heart. Why? Why did she cultivate so hard all these years? For the sake of resources, she had no choice but to show off her beauty to curry favor with the disciples, deacons, and elders. Even so, she had only cultivated to the late stage of the awakening realm. There was still a long way to go before she could reach the perfect awakening realm. However, Cho Tsing Hui, a person who did not even have the qualifications to enter the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, could rely on himself to make a name for himself in the outside world. Not only did he step into the awakening realm, but he had also cultivated true Qi early on and surpassed others to reach the second level of the immortality stage. Why? Arisher Yudo took a deep breath and suppressed the unwillingness in her heart. She said in a deep voice, "His name is Cho Tsing Hui." Cho Tsing Hui? Elder Juri was slightly startled. Then, he immediately thought of the person who embarrassed him in front of his disciples. His eyes suddenly became fierce. "You're Cho Tsing Hui? Nalan Fei's nephew? No wonder Yutong abandoned you. You're young, your cultivation is mediocre, but you're quite arrogant. How dare you not put our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect in your eyes? With your character and temper, sooner or later, you'll offend someone you can't afford to offend because of your loose tongue. In order to prevent you from bringing trouble to Nalan Fei in the future, and even ruining our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's reputation, today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your Aunt Nalan Fei, lest you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth and spout nonsense." As soon as he finished speaking, Elder Juri directly attacked. He did not use any magical weapon, but the moment his empty hand reached for Tsing Hui, a majestic force twisted and distorted. It seemed to disturb the gravity around his body, making him unable to stabilize his body. Clang! Before Elder Juri could grab him, Sing Hui suddenly unsheathed the crimson dragon sword in his hand. A sharp edge mixed with a blazing heat wave erupted in an instant. Like a torrent of magma, it instantly tore apart the space affected by Elder Juri's power. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he leaped and pulled away from Elder Juri. At the same time, he used appraisal on him. Name: Juri Chaos Level, Stage 2 Attack Level, 46 Defense Level, 47 Speed Level, 48 Spirit Level, 51. Seeing this value, Sing Hui's pupils shrank slightly. Elder Juri was actually an expert at the advanced stage of the Spirit Chi Unison stage. He was even stronger than the Dragon Whale Island Lord. Although he was not good at attacking and his killing methods were not fierce, with his background in the Hunyuan heavenly sect and another identity as an alchemist, he must have a divine weapon that was not inferior to his cultivation level. It was not strange for him to take out a stage 5 divine weapon like himself. With such a cultivation level, unless he used a divine art, there was no chance for him to win. And Juri was a stage 2 son of chaos. Needless to say, this chaos level must have been inherited from someone else. Moreover, it was inherited from a force that specialized in hunting and killing sons of chaos at a great price. Once he exposed the divine art and was discovered by Juri, unless he could be sure that he could kill him completely, he would inevitably bring endless disaster to himself. Thinking of this, Sing Hui took advantage of the fact that Juri had not recovered from his sudden attack to suddenly rush towards Xian Long. He grabbed him and flew straight into the void. Good sword. I didn't expect you to have such a divine weapon. It seems that you really have a great opportunity. However, you dare to speak arrogantly and disrespect my Hunyuan heavenly sect. Leave this divine weapon behind as compensation. Elder Juri's eyes shone brightly as he chased after him with large strides. But Sing Hui, who flew up, did not confront him head-on. The Qing Xian sword suddenly appeared under his feet, and then the sword intent in his spiritual world erupted. He broke through the sound barrier and rushed into the sky. Want to leave? Do you think you can leave without my permission? Flying sword? I have one too. Chapter 138. Swish! Juri stepped on the flying sword, his body overflowing with light. Then he caught up with Sing Hui and shot straight into the clouds. Elder, Lord, when they saw Qing Su and Juri leave swiftly one after the other, everyone seemed to be astounded. Erasure Yudo quickly reacted and commanded in a deep voice, "My master will deal with Cho Sing Hui personally. At that time, he won't be able to escape even if he has wings. Before my master captures him, we will go deep into the cave and see if there are any treasures inside. Then, we will collect them and give them to my master. Only then will you be able to receive pills from my master in the next few years." The Juri sect's people who received the order felt a chill in their hearts and quickly responded, "Yes, we will listen to Miss Yutong's orders." Among them, the Juri sect master called out to the elders and awakening experts to investigate the underground cave. Cho Sing Hui. Looking at Sing Hui, who had already disappeared into the clouds, Erasure Yudo bit her lips with a trace of regret on her face. If she hadn't tricked Sing Hui into stealing the inner disciple token and followed him to the Hunyuan Heaven sect, with their relationship and her means, wouldn't Cho Sing Hui be at her mercy? She only needed to coax him with a few words, and Cho Sing Hui would obediently give her the many resources he obtained. At that time, the one who cultivated to the true Qi realm, obtained a top divine weapon, and wielded a flying sword wouldn't be Cho Sing Hui, but Erasure Yudo. Unfortunately now, however, this regret didn't last for long before she expelled it. I, Erasure Yudo, must stand out. I already have the big stage, that is the Hunyuan Heaven sect. With the help of this stage, I will eventually climb to the top and make the parents who abandoned me by the roadside and those who once looked down on me regret their foolish decisions. Young master, Juri, he's catching up. Put me down. I can return to the Lorraine kingdom by myself. On the flying sword, Xian Long hastily called out as he looked at the approaching chasing sun behind him. Xing Hui took a glance behind him. The distance between him and Elder Zhuri was indeed shrinking. Seeing that the chasing sun sect's people didn't catch up to them and that Elder Zhuri's real target was him and not Xian Long, he shouted in a low voice, "Be careful." After that, the flying sword slightly lowered its altitude and directly dropped Xian Long as it swept past a small forest. After putting Xian Long down, his speed suddenly increased by a notch, and he once again broke through the sky and flew far away. When Elder Zhuri saw this scene, he hesitated. However, this hesitation only lasted for a moment before it was thrown to the back of his mind. Perhaps he could choose to pursue and kill Xian Long, capture him, and force Xing Hui to hand him over to him. However, if Xing Hui didn't care about Xian Long's life at all, and took advantage of the moment when he was distracted to deal with Xian Long to escape, then Xing Hui's flying sword and level 5 divine weapon would be missed by him. I can't take any risks. In such a state of mind, he could only concentrate his mind, stimulate his spirit, and chase after Xing Hui at full speed. His speed is still a little faster than mine. Xing Hui sensed for a moment, and his expression suddenly became solemn. In terms of the grade of the flying sword, Elder Zhuri was still inferior to him. Even though he was an elder of the Hunyuan heaven sect who was proficient in alchemy and had a rich fortune, the flying sword under his feet was only a level 4 middle-grade flying sword. However, Elder Zhuri had cultivated a powerful spirit through alchemy for many years, and his spirit was 5 levels higher than Xing Hui's, which easily made up for the difference of 1 level between the 2 flying swords. Moreover, the Golden Crow, True Qi, wasn't good at flying. Even though the flying sword was driven by spirit and true Qi, and was driven by spirit and true Qi, Xing Hui, who was only at the true Qi realm, was still inferior to Elder Zhuri, who was at the true Qi realm. In such a situation, the distance between the two was gradually narrowing at an extremely slow speed. The cultivation of the true Qi realm can't support me for a long time. Even if it consumes, it will exhaust me to death. A light flashed in Xing Hui's eyes, and he quickly understood his situation. The only way to kill Elder Zhuri was to use the divine art. As for the endless troubles it might bring in the future, he couldn't care so much. With a change of mind, Xing Hui gradually slowed down, looking as if his true Qi was running out. Although he had cultivated divine true Qi, and his true Qi was extremely pure, because he had used the sharpness of the level 5 divine weapon to tear apart Elder Zhuri's suppression, Elder Zhuri didn't realize that he was an elite true Qi realm cultivator and didn't doubt that his speed was gradually slowing down. Not only that, but he also used some kind of secret technique, and his eyes flickered and shot out red light. His flying sword, which was already slightly faster than Xing Hui, increased again, and in just a few breaths, he had already caught up to Xing Hui by 100 meters. Flame Sky Mirror. Die for me. The moment Xing Hui was within his attack range, Elder Zhuri suddenly roared, and a round mirror burning with raging flames appeared above his head. After aiming at Xing Hui's figure, a blazing and violent light shot out from the mirror and completely engulfed Xing Hui with a rolling heat wave. Bang! Xing Hui's body twisted, and he slashed out with all his strength. Sword Qi erupted and collided with the flame shot out from the Flame Sky mirror, causing a blazing flame to explode in the void. A terrifying heat wave swept out, and the air within a radius of a few hundred meters was instantly burned and distorted. In the midst of the exploding flame, Xing Hui's body was filled with raging flames, and he fell straight to the ground like a meteor. Your path of escape ends here. Seeing that Xing Hui was heavily injured, Elder Zhuri's face was filled with surprise, and he rushed toward Xing Hui with his fastest speed. It was as if he could already see a rank 5 divine weapon and a higher quality flying sword waving at him. However, just as Elder Zhuri arrived in front of Xing Hui, and his true Qi left his body to control Xing Hui, the aura of Xing Hui, who was burning with flames, suddenly changed. A terrifying pressure that was several times stronger than before swept out from his body, and his falling figure stabilized. The crimson dragon sword in his hand shot out a dazzling flame, and in the center of the flame, a huge golden crow with a wingspan of over 100 meters let out a loud and clear cry. This is the Great Sun Golden Crow technique? Not good. Elder Zhuri's face changed greatly as he felt the terrifying pressure from the Great Sun Golden Crow. Without any hesitation, he crushed a piece of precious jade. Rumble, a terrifying aura that wasn't inferior to the Cyan Netherworld realm, rose up the moment Elder Zhuri crushed the precious jade, and then a golden rock image appeared. It swept up the wind and clouds, and collided with the golden crow image that was slashing down with the crimson dragon sword. The power of the two terrifying beings exploded in the void, and it was as if two Cyan Netherworld realm experts had used all their strength to launch a thunderous attack. In an instant, it exploded into tens of thousands of rays of golden light. The blazing rays of light and the heat wave covered the sky, and it was almost impossible to open one's eyes. Xinghui bore the brunt of the surging and blazing heat wave. He was swept up by the terrifying energy torrent, and he was almost torn into pieces. Dozens of wounds appeared on his body, and blood sprayed out into the sky. However, Elder Zhuri wasn't in a good state either. The rebounding force that was equivalent to the full strength of two Cyan Netherworld realm experts swept up his body, and it also made him cry out miserably. However, he was wearing a high-grade Tier 4 defensive armor that had appeared at the critical moment and fused with his energy. Even though the force of the impact was stronger than Xinghui's, his injuries were lighter. Of course, being lighter was only a relative measure. The two of them fell in two different directions at the same time, and there was no movement for a long time. Only the terrifying and mighty torrent in the void gradually dispersed, and it shocked the nearby cultivators to the point that they fled in panic and didn't dare approach. Divine art. Divine art. It can increase one's cultivation by a level. This is the divine art that only a Tier 10 son of chaos can cultivate. He's actually a Tier 10 son of chaos? No wonder he can repeatedly create miracles and cultivate from a penniless mortal to the true energy realm in a short few years. Moreover, he has cultivated divine-grade true energy and relied on the divine art to reach a level that isn't inferior to a spirit energy unity realm expert. If I capture a Tier 10 son of chaos alive and force out his chaos formula, I'll be able to inherit it and advance to the Tier 5 son of chaos. At that time, coupled with my innate talent and comprehension ability, even if my cultivation takes another step forward, it'll be very likely for me to step into the Cyan Netherworld realm. Even though Elder Zhuri's injuries were severe, his spirit was unprecedentedly excited. After swallowing a healing pill, his gaze suddenly turned towards Xinghui, and his eyes were filled with unprecedented fervor. Hiss! In another direction, Xinghui fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, he looked extremely miserable. He was like a man of blood, and some parts of his body had been torn apart by the force of the explosion. If it was an ordinary cultivator with such injuries, they would have died a long time ago. Relying on his Tier 4 recovery ability, Xinghui tenaciously endured it. Not only did he endure it, after enduring the most intense impact, the mysterious Tier 4 recovery ability kept appearing on his body. The powerful recovery ability unceasingly nourished his severely injured body and actually allowed his wounds to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than an hour, not only did the blood stop flowing, some of the wounds could even be seen. If this continued, his extremely severe injuries would be completely healed in less than a day. After another hour, Xinghui stood up with difficulty. He could guarantee that his recovery speed was even faster than Zhuri's. He could barely move now, but Zhuri definitely couldn't catch his breath. But Zhuri had a protective jade talisman that was obviously refined by a peak-level expert of the Blue Netherworld realm. There was no guarantee that he didn't have a second one. Moreover, the second protective jade talisman didn't even need to be refined by a peak-level expert of the Blue Netherworld realm. A protective jade talisman refined by a Divine Chi Unity realm expert was enough to kill him while he was severely injured. At this moment, if he thought that he was infallible and wanted to kill Zhuri, he would only be walking into a trap. Especially, the duration of the divine art had already passed in these 2 hours. If he wanted to use it again, he would have to wait for half a month. Thinking until here, Xing Hui turned around and flew away on his sword. Chapter 139. Sure enough, the inland is not peaceful enough. Xing Hui frowned. In terms of spirit and Chi Unity realm experts, none of the 10 sacred sects could be compared to the overseas sections. After all, the overseas sects were vast, spanning tens of millions of miles. There were naturally countless experts hidden in the vast area. But what Xing Hui was afraid of was not spirit and Chi Unity realm experts, but those above the spirit and Chi Unity realm. According to the Divine Dragon ranking, there were at most 30 to 40 palace masters in the overseas Qingming territory. Even if there were some hidden ones, there would not be more than 100. This number was more than enough for Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Moreover, other than the palace masters, Hunyuan Heaven Sect also had Immortal Stage 6, Prominent Divine Stage, and even Saint Stage experts. These people were not people he could fight against. I hope Blazing Glory's side goes smoothly in exchange for enough Fire Spirit Crystals. Now that I have the Great Sun Essence, with some Fire Spirit Crystals, it won't be difficult for me to reach small success in my Divine Chi Unity realm. If I can reach small success in my Divine Chi Unity realm, I won't be afraid of ordinary Spirit and Chi Unity realm experts. Looking at the overseas Divine Dragon ranking, it won't be difficult for me to rank in the top 600. At that time, I'll have a long period of peace. Xing Hui muttered to himself. Flying on his sword, he covered 1,000 miles in an instant. Soon, Xing Hui returned to the Luo Lin kingdom. However, considering that Erishur Yudo knew him well, it was very likely that she would inform Zhuri that he was in the Luo Lin kingdom. When he arrived, he did not show himself. Instead, he rented a small residence outside the Luo Lin kingdom and hid there. Blazing Glory would take a few days to go to Baiyang City and back. He did not intend to waste these few days. 3 Great Sun Essences. With the help of the Fire Phoenix Feather, it was enough for him to reach the spirit refining realm. Now let's begin. Qing Su sucked in a deep breath and immediately drew out the power of the feather of the Fire Phoenix. Immediately, the feather of the Fire Phoenix shone with a scorching light, enveloping his entire body. For a moment, he seemed to be bathed in warm sunlight, and his senses for fire energy skyrocketed. As long as he focused his attention, he could even vaguely see faint red specks in the air. That was the fire elemental energy contained within the heaven and earth. Mysterious. Was this the divine beast Phoenix's perspective on the chi of heaven and earth? If a single feather of my Fire Phoenix could create such a miraculous phenomenon, then what about a real phoenix? Even if they eat and sleep all day long, there will still be an endless stream of fire attribute energy flowing into their bodies, allowing them to naturally grow into saint-level existences when they reach adulthood. Xing Hui sighed with emotion for a moment, but he did not dare to waste any more time. The power of the phoenix feather was limited. Under normal circumstances, it could only support him for 10 days to half a month. Now that he was refining the essence of the Great Sun, the time he could use it would be even shorter. He had to seize every second, because he had already had the opportunity to refine the Great Sun essence once. This time Xing Hui could be said to be very familiar with the process. As the Great Sun essence entered his body, the golden crow, true chi in his body, once again began to surge with joy. The golden crow projection in his spiritual world even let out a series of joyful moans. This was the embodiment of his personal level of happiness rising to the peak. A large amount of the essence of the great sun poured into his true energy, which had been cultivated to perfection. The so-called perfection was equivalent to the amount of energy that one's true energy could contain, reaching the upper limit. Now that more essence of the great sun was being poured into his true energy, it naturally caused his true energy, which had already reached the upper limit, to begin to overflow. His body turned bright red, and the surrounding temperature rose sharply. But before this great sun essence could dissipate, Tsing Hui's powerful mind, along with the spirit of the great sun golden crow, abruptly suppressed the gradually dissipating pure energy and continuously compressed this energy into his own true energy. Compression, purification, cultivating qi into aura. In reality, it was a process of constantly purifying and compressing one's true energy. The higher the grade of true energy, the purer and more domineering it was, and it could not contain any impurities. In this situation where there were no impurities, wanting to compress it again was almost an extravagant hope, just like the limits of the human body. If the aura realm was compared to needing a person to increase their speed for 100 meters by 3 seconds, then an ordinary aura cultivator's original speed for 100 meters was 13 seconds, and an increase of 3 seconds was only 10 seconds. But for spirit-grade aura cultivators, their original speed for 100 meters would be 12 seconds, and an increase of 3 seconds would be 9 seconds. Above that, saint-grade aura and divine-grade aura cultivators could increase their speed by 11 or 10 seconds. Under these circumstances, increasing one's speed by 3 seconds was much more difficult than the previous two. It required breaking one's own limits again and again. Tsing Hui was currently experiencing this process. Compression, compression, continuous compression. The golden crow image formed by his powerful mind carried with it a vast and terrifying power, constantly suppressing the surging true energy in his body, causing it to be continuously compressed and fused. Throughout this process, there would occasionally be strands of true energy escaping, and every strand of true energy that escaped would cause serious damage to his body. Fortunately, his recovery ability was extremely astonishing, and in addition to the various healing pills that he had specially swallowed, the degree of damage caused by his true energy was equal to the degree of recovery. Under these circumstances, the true energy in his body was constantly being purified. A great sun essence was silently consumed. Tsing Hui was not surprised by this result. Even though he had the phoenix feather, and one great sun essence was equivalent to 2, he still cultivated divine-grade true energy. Without hesitation, he refined the second great sun essence into his body. With this new energy, the golden crow true energy that had been compressed to the extreme seemed unable to bear the burden. The surging true energy seemed to have lost control and was about to wreak havoc in his body. Fortunately, Tsing Hui's level 46 mental strength was far superior to ordinary people's. In terms of mental strength, many mid-stage unity of spirit realm experts could not compare to him. Under these circumstances, even though his true energy was on the verge of going out of control, he still managed to control it within a certain range with his powerful will. Finally, this continuous refinement and compression went on for 3 days and 3 nights. On the morning of the 4th day, the true energy at the very core suddenly began to transform. Strands of golden true energy began to emit a blazing white light. Blazing white. This was the color of the sun. It was as if a limit had been broken. When the white strand of true qi appeared, more and more the true qi began to change. The pressure on Qing Su's mind that had been strung to the limit rapidly decreased as well. When all the true energy in his body had turned blazing white, the second great sun essence was finally exhausted, and his body had completed the transformation to the Gangqi realm from the inside out. It's done. Tsing Hui opened his eyes with joy. Buzz, buzz. As he opened his hand, the blazing white true energy continued to rise from his hand. No, it was not true energy. This should be called Gangqi. True energy was actually just a kind of air current. Gangxi had already developed into a physical substance. At this time, if he was willing to consume a large amount of it, he could even separate his true energy and condense it into a blazing fire attribute Gangxi stone. If this fire attribute Gangxi stone was absorbed and refined by someone who also cultivated the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, the effect would be even better than the fire spirit crystal. This was the difference between Gangxi and true energy. True energy cannot be stored for long, but Gangxi could. This was also why only Gangxi realm experts could refine protective jade pendants. Unfortunately, in the end, Gangxi realm experts could not create objects out of thin air. A pure Gangxi stone could take form in 1 or 2 hours, but it would dissipate after a long time. Once it was injected into a jade pendant that could carry Gangxi, the Gangxi would be contaminated by the jade pendant's impurities. This was also the reason why the protective jade pendant refined by Gangxi realm expert was almost a whole realm weaker than the attack he used himself. Divine Grade Gangxi, I've finally arrived. Cultivating Divine Grade Gangxi is really not easy. If not for my mental strength reaching 46, I would have failed halfway through and all my previous efforts would have been wasted. Even if my mental strength was just a little over 40, I probably wouldn't have been able to take this crucial step. Xinghui was somewhat shocked. Although he had already guessed from the words of Nalan Fei, Yin Huang, and the others that cultivating divine grade Gangxi was not easy, he did not expect it to be so difficult. 41 and 2 mental strengths could not even cultivate divine grade Gangxi. With this mental strength, one should be able to break through to the spirit and Qi unity realm, right? From the looks of it, if I want to cultivate to the realm of spirit and Qi as one, I'll have to make another trip to the 10,000 Swords Mountain and borrow the wonders of the stone pillar there to properly polish my mind. Otherwise, I won't have the slightest hope of stepping into the realm of spirit and Qi as one. It's just that, unless I really break the stone pillar of the 10,000 Swords Mountain, otherwise just the aftershocks of the sword intent won't have much of a stimulating effect on my mind. However, once I break the stone pillar of the 10,000 Swords Mountain, the mental impact that will instantly erupt will definitely be so strong that it'll be far beyond my imagination. When Qing Su thought of this, he frowned slightly. In the end, he could only helplessly put this idea aside. Level 50. If one's mental strength did not reach level 50, one could not go to the 10,000 Swords Mountain to break the stone pillar. Even if one reached level 50, it was best to wait. Either one had to obtain a special divine weapon that could protect one's spirit or a pill that could restore one's spirit. It's already the 4th day. Xian Long and Yin Huang should have returned. Xinghui sensed that the true energy in his body was relatively stable. He stood up and walked toward the place that Nalan Fei and the others had rented. Before long, he arrived at the courtyard. Prince Xinghui. Jing Yun, who had been presiding over the situation in the courtyard, immediately stepped forward and bowed when he saw Xinghui. Has there been any movement from the Eastern Cloud Empire? No. I don't know if that Jasper received the news or for some other reason, but she went into hiding. I don't know where she went. Jasper went into hiding? Qing Su's face changed slightly, and he immediately became stern. Yes, hiding? If she wasn't guilty, why would she hide? There was only one possibility for her to hide. She had already learned of what had happened on Dragon Whale Island. Have my 2 followers, Xian Long and Yin Huang, returned? His Excellency Xian Long has returned and is resting, but Lord Yin Huang and Lord Bai Lansheng have yet to return. Chapter 140. Yin Huang and Bai Lansheng haven't returned yet. Xing Hui's pupils shrank slightly. This is the 8th day since they set off for the 100 Ocean City, right? It'll take 4 to 5 days to go back and forth from the 100 Ocean City. If it's slower, 6 to 7 days should be enough. He should know that I urgently need the Fire Spirit Crystal, so he should be here as soon as possible. Logically speaking, He should have arrived 2 to 3 days ago. Is there any news from Aunt Nayland? This, because it's been too short, I haven't had time to report to Mississippi. Let Aunt Nayland send someone to inquire about the situation. Sing Hui finished speaking and walked into the courtyard. With the hidden danger of elder jury, he didn't plan to stay inland for long. But overseas, that was the territory of overseas cultivators. Once the cultivators of the 10 sacred sects were exposed, they would inevitably attract the wrath of overseas cultivators. Even if an immortal stage 6 expert dared to act presumptuously overseas, they would be lured into the territory of a sea overlord and become the overlord's food. Young master. In the courtyard, Xian Long knew that Sing Hui had returned and immediately greeted him. Young master, are you all right? Xian Long, it's inappropriate for you to rebuild the Divine Armament Tower in the Eastern Cloud Empire. I can give you 2 choices now. 1. You change your identity and hide at the foot of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect for me to investigate the general movements of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's experts. You're only in the awakening stage, so no one will notice you. The other is to take your people from Dragon Chan Island and go overseas with me. At that time, I can promise you a lifetime of wealth. Xian Long was slightly startled. After a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, I hope I can help young master. I'm willing to stay in the Eastern Cloud Empire. If that's the case, then you should change your identity. At the same time, other than the Primal Chaos Temple, don't contact me in any way. Of course, Blazing Glory will continue to guide you. However, you can only guide you in the Primal Chaos Temple. I understand. Xian Long respectfully replied, if you want to conceal your identity and change your identity, then you should be more thorough. I have a friend who is good at the art of disguise. I will go find him to learn the art of disguise. However, my father and the people of Dragon Chan Island, I will have to trouble young master to take care of them. I will arrange for a warship to send them to Dragon Beheading Island. Dragon Beheading Island has a vast territory. It won't be difficult to accommodate everyone from Dragon Beheading Island, let alone a clan. Thank you, young master. Since you're working for me, I naturally have to solve your worries. After Sing Hui finished speaking, Xian Long once again gave him a salute before taking his leave. As for Sing Hui, he entered the Chaos Temple. Yin Huang had returned 2 or 3 days later than expected, which made him feel that something was amiss. He immediately wanted to inquire about Yin Huang's whereabouts through the Primal Chaos Divine Palace. Your Excellency, Starlight. After entering the Dawn organization, Sing Hui stepped forward and greeted, have you seen Sir Blazing Glory these past few days? Blazing Glory. When Starlight heard Sing Hui mention him, he felt a little strange. I haven't seen Blazing Glory for a few days. Even though Blazing Glory would sometimes go into seclusion to cultivate, he would still come up once every few days. Normally, he would even walk around our Dawn every day to get the latest news. Based on what you said, he really hasn't appeared for a few days. He didn't come? Starlight and Blazing Glory were neither relatives nor friends, so he didn't think too much about it. Maybe he's at a critical juncture in his cultivation. If you have something to discuss with him, you might as well wait a little longer. Sing Hui nodded. Starlight thought that Blazing Glory had gone to cultivate, but Sing Hui knew. Blazing Glory had gone to Baiyang City to exchange for fire spirit crystals for him, but now he had disappeared without a trace. Something unexpected had happened. Coincidentally, at this moment, Heaven's Inquisition walked out of his private room. Seeing Heaven's Inquisition, Sing Hui immediately stepped forward. Please wait. Your Excellency Heaven's Inquisition, I would like to inquire about some information from you. Oh, what does Your Excellency Pak Hui want to inquire about? If I can tell you, I won't be stingy. I would like to make a deal with Your Excellency Heaven's Inquisition, Sing Hui said. Hearing him mention the word deal, Heaven's Inquisition's expression immediately turned grave. The organization that Heaven's Inquisition belonged to was called the Divination Pavilion. Although it was not part of the 10 Great Sacred Sects, none of the 10 Great Sacred Sects dared to underestimate it. The Divination Pavilion's business was to sell information, so, as one of its members, it was naturally very well informed. Heaven's Inquisition could tell Tsing Hui some ordinary information since they were both members of the Dawn and were both sons of chaos with great potential. However, once it involved a deal, it was no longer his personal matter, but the entire Divination Pavilion's matter. This was because in order to ensure the reputation of the Divination Pavilion, he had to use all his channels to ensure the authenticity of the information. He had to make sure that the customer was satisfied. Since it's a deal, Your Excellency Pak Hui, please leave Ling Yu's personal space and use this technique. As Heaven's Inquisition spoke, he passed a technique to him. As Tsing Hui left Ling Yu's personal space and used the technique, his surroundings suddenly became blurry. Soon, he appeared in a small conference room. This is the personal space of a certain important person of our Divination Pavilion, a level 3 personal space. A level 3 personal space, 1,000 meters in length, width, and height. There were countless small conference rooms like this one. May I know what information Your Excellency Pak Hui wishes to purchase? Your Excellency Blazing Glory's identity in the real world should be known by Heaven's Inquisition. He is the island master of Glazed Island. Not long ago, I made a big deal with the island master of Glazed Island. He took my deposit and said that he would go to 100 Seas City to pick up the goods. However, it has been 4 days since the agreed time, and he still hasn't delivered the goods. Understood. Heaven's Inquisition said, originally, we wouldn't accept a deal that involves the true identity of a son of chaos. However, Your Excellency Pak Hui has already provided his true identity, location, and time. In that case, there is no harm in accepting it. I will submit this information now, and there will be a reply soon. Please wait for a moment. Tsing Hui nodded. The Divination Pavilion's information sales system had long been established, and its efficiency was astonishing. It was said that there was a special divine weapon in the Divination Pavilion that was responsible for collecting information collected by members of the Divination Pavilion from all over the world. It was also extremely efficient. Right now, Heaven's Inquisition was probably using a portion of this divine weapon's authority. In less than an incense stick's worth of time, Heaven's Inquisition stretched out his hand, and 3 scrolls appeared in it. Heaven's Inquisition looked at it for a moment and quickly said, Sir White Ruins, I have 3 sets of information with me. The details are different and the prices are different as well. The first set has the lowest price and only requires a 3rd-step divine weapon or an item of equivalent value. The second set has a slightly higher price and is worth 1,000,000 spiritual stones. As for the 3rd set, it only accepts items that carry the Tao and requires items that contain a little bit of Tao. Furthermore, according to the rules of the Divination Pavilion, no information can be leaked to a second person. Please forgive me. I am willing to use items that carry the Tao, but I want to read the information now. Of course, you can do it within a month. However, we will need to use our personal space to record the process of our transaction as proof of payment. Your Excellency Pak Hui, please do not mind. All right. Heaven's Inquisition nodded. In less than half a minute, he directly handed the most detailed information to Tsing Hui. Your Excellency Pak Hui, please read it. I will take my leave first. For transactions of this level, the members of the Divination Pavilion only had the right to resell the information and did not have the authority to read the information. This was to ensure that the information was kept confidential. Tsing Hui opened the information and read it. After a short while, his expression turned serious. Dragon Shadow? That traitor of Dawn? That traitor was already at the unity of divine Qi realm when he betrayed Dawn. He was the second most powerful person in Dawn after the leader, Ling Yu. After that, he made a fortune by betraying the sons of chaos of Dawn. Now, his cultivation is probably even more profound. I can't even treat him as someone at the unity of divine Qi realm. Moreover, other than Dragon Shadow, there was another person mentioned in the information, a mysterious woman. And according to the information revealed in the information, Dragon Shadow, who could not be treated as an ordinary expert at the unity of divine Qi realm, was actually that woman's subordinate? Your Excellency Heaven's Inquisition? Tsing Hui called out. After a short while, Heaven's Inquisition's figure appeared in the small conference room again. Your Excellency Pak Hui, do you have any other requests? This information mentioned a mysterious woman. I would like to know more about this mysterious woman. Please wait a moment. Heaven's Inquisition said, and quickly submitted his request. This time, it was even faster. In less than 10 breaths, a small scroll fell into his hands. This scroll was for Heaven's Inquisition to read. After a short while, he said, "This mysterious woman is a son of chaos, so we cannot sell her information. However, since you have made a deal with the vessel of Tao, we can reveal this woman's cultivation to your Excellency Pak Hui. She is at the peak of the unity of divine Qi realm. A son of chaos, and at the peak of the unity of divine Qi realm." Tsing Hui's heart sank. What is the rank of the son of chaos? Heaven's Inquisition shook his head. The scroll did not specify, so it clearly cannot be leaked. A son of chaos who could cultivate to the peak of the unity of divine Qi realm would generally not be lower than rank 5. It would be fine if she was within rank 5, but he feared that she was at rank 10. If a rank 10 son of chaos at the peak of the unity of divine Qi realm used a divine art, even a blue netherworld expert would be killed by her in one blow. Moreover, the sons of chaos were all people who relied on opportunities. Almost none of them had cultivated ordinary Gang Qi, and even the weakest of them had reached the spiritual Gang Qi realm. Even if Tsing Hui used a divine art and wielded the rank 5 divine weapon, the Crimson Dragon Sword, he would be no match for her. Tsing Hui fell silent at this result. Blazing glory, during this period of time, he had served him loyally. Moreover, the reason why he was targeted by Shadow Dragon was mainly because his identity in the real world had been exposed. The process of his identity being exposed was more or less related to him. If he abandoned him just because the enemy was tyrannical, he felt uneasy. Give me information on Dragon Shadow. I want to know where he is. Heaven's Inquisition looked at Tsing Hui with some surprise. Your Excellency Pak Hui, it's not impossible for you to want information on Dragon Shadow. Dragon Shadow is a son of chaos whose identity has been exposed long ago. But you're not thinking of going to rescue His Excellency Blazing Glory, are you? As far as I know, your true cultivation is only at the awakening realm. Rashly going to rescue him is just courting death. I have a suggestion for your Excellency Pak Hui to consider. Please speak. If your Excellency Pak Hui still has a Tao item, I happen to know a friend. Everything else aside, it's not difficult to save your Excellency Blazing Glory for your Excellency Pak Hui. Moreover, the fee is not high. At this point, Heaven's Inquisition's lips curled into a friendly smile. Information on Dragon Shadow and a rescue mission. How about 2 points of Tao? Chapter 141. Taoist Aura Value. Depending on the person, it could be sold at different prices. In a small place like the Cloud Wilderness, a little bit of Taoist attainments could be exchanged for level 4 or 5 divine weapons and armors. But in the infinite barren region, divine weapons that were below level 6 or 7 were not even worth thinking about. Those who were in desperate need of Taoist attainments would often ask for level 8 or even level 9 divine weapons. It was precisely because of the different prices in different places that there were many rank 25 Sons of Chaos who purposely projected their avatars to the continents where the cultivation system wasn't very developed. They could easily obtain Tao, carrying items through all kinds of sacred texts and even divine texts. This was how the sacred books and divine books of the 10 great sacred sects came about. Other than that, there were also merchants who had not reached level 25 but were extremely reputable. They would purposely bring large amounts of level 4, level 5, and level 6 weapons to the underdeveloped continents. After a round of trading, they would obtain many Taoist items and sell them to the infinite wilderness at a high price to make up for the difference. To save a person from an expert who was at the pinnacle of the unity of God and Qi stage, the price was 2 Taoist auras. Even in the Cloud Wilderness, this price was considered high. For cultivators who desperately needed Taoist items, a little Taoist aura could even buy the life of a green netherworld realm expert. However, sure, but you have to save the person first. I believe that with the intelligence of the Mystery Pavilion, I won't go back on my word. Of course, Heaven's Inquisition had a confident smile on his face. The Mystery Pavilion has spies all over the cloud wilderness, even overseas. Even in other continents, the headquarters of the Mystery Pavilion is still there. Therefore, unless Her Excellency Pak Hui can stand the loneliness and never appear in a place with people again, we will be able to find her. Be quick. I don't want her to be crippled by the time we save her. 3 days will be enough. All right, contact me after she is saved. I will tell you how to get the Taoist item that I left behind. Her Excellency Pak Hui is very cautious. I will do as you said. Heaven's Inquisition agreed. The Mystery Pavilion's intelligence network was all-pervasive. Naturally, they were not afraid that Sing Hui would go back on his word. After the deal, Sing Hui left the Chaos Temple. Blazing glory, this is all I can do for you, Sing Hui murmured. Unfortunately, the bronze statue had been in his possession for less than a month, and he was about to lose it again. This made Sing Hui feel that it was a pity. Qing Su obviously trusted the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion's reputation, so he had paid a visit to the Cloud Desolate Mountain Range a long time ago. He buried the bronze statue in a prominent location in the Cloud Desolate Mountain Range. The next step was to wait patiently. 3 days was not a long time. Very quickly, Sing Hui received the news that Blazing Glory had been rescued and returned to the Cloud Desolate Mountain Range. Sing Hui did not dare to hesitate. Considering that he would return to the dragon-slaying island directly after receiving the Blazing Glory to ensure his safety, he immediately gathered everyone from the dragon-slaying island and boarded the battleship, heading towards the Hunyuan mountain range. Because the people from Dragon Chan Island had already been sent to Zhanlong Island, there were not many people on the warship. Other than a spirit-refining realm cultivator and dozens of true chi realm and awakening realm guards, there were less than 100 warship pilots. The warship seemed quite empty. However, in less than half an hour after the warship took off, a bird at the end of the horizon caught Sing Hui's attention. Birds were not strange. Even ferocious beasts would occasionally visit the Luo Lin kingdom. However, the key point was that the bird had been maintaining a uniform speed and distance with them, which made him quite surprised. Someone is watching us? Suddenly, Sing Hui realized something and his face changed. Chasing sun, thinking of this, he was about to abandon the warship and leave on his sword. The warship's flying speed was slow and the target was huge. It was not as agile as flying on a sword. However, just as Sing Hui was about to call the spirit-refining realm commander who had joined him and was about to instruct him, a terrifying and blazing heat suddenly erupted from the interior of the warship. In the next moment, a mighty torrent of destruction spread out with an unprecedented explosion, engulfing the entire warship, including Sing Hui. Eternal, blazing sun. At the end of the sky, dozens of kilometers away from the battleship, on a bird that was only at the level of a dire beast, a rather disheveled woman looked at the dazzling light of destruction with a crazed expression, her eyes full of malevolence. Die, die, die. Chot Sing Hui, it's all your fault that I, by you, ended up like this. You forced me to do this. Go to hell. I took the risk of exposing myself to follow you here, just to see you being turned into ashes by the eternal blazing sun with my own eyes. On the back of a bird, by you cursed viciously. Eternal blazing sun. This was a semi-finished product of the Jin Wu religion, the eternal blazing sun. Even though it was only a semi-finished product, its might wasn't inferior to the full force strike of a green hell realm expert. And this was obvious from how Lai Wuyong had relied on this treasure to blast the Dark Nether Isle's master, who was at the Unison realm, into nothingness. When Baiyu learned that Sing Hui had flattened the Dragon Whale Island and replaced the Dragon Whale Island's lord as its new overlord, she knew that she was finished. The news of the Black Hole Sutra must have already reached Qing Su's ears. If Qing Su reported this matter to the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the punishment department would make him face a life and death situation. The pressure of death had driven Bai Yu to the brink of insanity. She had stolen the first 4 layers of the Black Hole Sutra from the Sky Origin Peak Master and made a deal with a high-ranking member of the Jinwu religion to obtain an eternal blazing Sunday. This was the reason for the current situation. Die. From now on, I can only live in exile overseas in constant peril. But Cho Tsing-hui, you must die. Bai Yu cursed crazily. However, her crazed screams only lasted for a few moments before the expression in her eyes froze. At the center of the destructive torrent of explosions, a golden crow suddenly appeared. Its wingspan spanned 10 meters as it frantically devoured and neutralized the endless power of the eternal blazing Sunday. The eternal blazing sun was formed by the Jinwu religion's high-ranking members using the Great Sun Golden Crow art as the foundation and drawing the blazing true fire from the sun above their heads. Its foundation was the power of the Great Sun, but compared to the essence of the Great Sun, it was 10 times or even 100 times more violent and violent. However, due to the characteristics of this energy, those who cultivated the Great Sun Golden Crow art had an extremely strong resistance to it. In addition, Bai Yu had only summoned a semi-finished Eternal Blazing Sunday. When the Eternal Blazing Sun exploded, Tsing Hui relied on his newly cultivated Golden Crow aura to survive. Although the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion had almost completely destroyed his body, it did not directly kill him. Feeling his body rapidly melting under the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion, Tsing Hui did not hesitate. He directly used the chaos level he had just raised yesterday on the recovery characteristic. At this moment, the path of the future was no longer important. Whether it was an immortal body or a Dao comprehender, it was nothing compared to his life hanging by a thread. He had to live. Buzz buzz. The recovery characteristic of the level 4 rose to the level 5 in an instant. The level 5 was a crucial stage for any characteristic of a Son of Chaos. At this stage, the characteristic would undergo the first round of mutation. For example, the level 5 personal space could be carried around. The appraisal skill could be used to appraise other people's cultivation techniques. The resurrection skill could be used to resurrect groups. The divine protection skill was no longer limited to refining weapons and pills, and so on. The recovery characteristic was the same. A powerful vitality erupted as Tsing Hui raised the recovery characteristic to the level 5, constantly neutralizing the destructive power of the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion. This allowed him to preserve his life, even when he was on the verge of being annihilated. Then, his aura erupted, and his sword intense sword. The sword light of the Qingxian sword blasted out from the Eternal Blazing Sun's domain of destruction. Bam! The blazing golden light whizzed out faster than a shockwave from the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion. When Tsing Hui charged out of the range of the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion, his entire body was a bloody mess. He no longer resembled a human, looking like a demon that had walked out of the fiery hell. It was enough to give a timid person nightmares every night. Meanwhile, Jasper, who was riding on a bird in the distance, let out a mournful and unwilling roar when she saw this scene. No! The next moment, she urged the ferocious beast under her and charged toward Tsing Hui. A flying sword had an advantage over a ferocious beast's speed. She had no hope of escaping. She knew very well that Tsing Hui was unprecedentedly weak, and this was the best opportunity to kill him. If she missed it, she would have no more hope in this lifetime. Die, 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 die for me. Jasper roared as she rode her ferocious beast. In the blink of an eye, she had traveled more than 10 kilometers between them. Tsing Hui's eyes seethed with killing intent. Except for him, the entire warship was destroyed by Jasper's Eternal Blazing Sunday. Although he did not have any relatives or friends on this warship, there were many spirit refining, true chi, awakening, and even ordinary people who could be counted as his subordinates. Because of his identity as the island master of Dragon Slayer Island, they sought refuge with him, but they were all killed by Jasper's Eternal Blazing Sunday. Not a single one was left. When he thought of how Bai Yu had relentlessly pursued him and even raised her butcher's knife against everyone related to him, he, who was originally seriously injured, should have quickly gone to treat his wounds. Instead, he changed his direction and went straight for Bai Yu, who was rushing over on her flying beast. Cho Tsinghui. When the distance between the two was less than 1 kilometer, Jasper roared with resentment. But at this moment, Tsinghui made his move. His injuries were so serious that his body was on the verge of collapse. He did not have the qualifications to fight a spirit-refining cultivator. But don't forget, this was the void that was thousands of meters high. Xiao. The next moment, Tsinghui lost his footing and fell straight to the ground. At the same time, the sword radiance of the Qingxian sword shot out like a shooting star. It directly pierced through the body of the huge bird below Jasper, bringing along with it dark red blood. No! In Jasper's unwilling scream, the number of people falling from 1 to 2. Chapter 142. Cho Tsinghui. Fight me to the death if you have the guts. The enmity between us arose because of Long Quan, and the reason why Long Quan ended up like this was all because of your indulgence. You're the main culprit behind his death. Now, let me take revenge for Long Quan and completely end this laughable farce of enmity. Tsinghui's eyes were as cold as winter. After killing the flying beast that could not dodge in time, the Qingxian sword turned and landed at Tsinghui's feet again, supporting Tsinghui's body. You. I hate you. I hate you so much. In order to kill you, you gave up everything, but why are you still not dead? If you don't die, I won't be satisfied. Tsinghui stood on his sword with a cold expression. He looked down at Jasper, who was screaming crazily, and let her fall. I won't be satisfied. Following Jasper's last scream, her body fell heavily to the ground, instantly turning into a pool of blood. Tsinghui slowly landed on the ground. Looking at Jasper, who no longer had a human form, there was no sympathy in his eyes. This kind of person who never reflected on her own mistakes deserved to die. Seeing that his injuries were still serious, he did not care about anything else and quickly took out healing elixirs from his personal space to treat his injuries. Although the recovery characteristic had an excellent recovery effect, its source of energy still came from the life essence stored in his body. If he could ensure that his body was full of life essence, the recovery rate would be faster. If he lacked life essence, even if his injuries healed, there would be a period of weakness. After a long time, Tsinghui opened his eyes. His injuries were extremely serious. If not for the golden crow's aura's amazing resistance to the eternal blazing sun, he would have died without a doubt, even if his cultivation was 1 realm higher. However, the recovery characteristic of the 5th level was unbelievably powerful. If he was at the Tier 4 stage, he would need at least 1 or 2 days to recover from this kind of injury. Moreover, he would also be weakened for 1 or 2 days, and it would take 3 or 4 days for him to fully recover. However, the recovery ability of the Tier 5 stage reduced the recovery time from 1 or 2 days to half a day. Although the feeling of weakness in his body had not completely disappeared, he was gradually recovering due to the elixirs he had taken to replenish his qi and blood. At this rate, he would be able to fully recover from the injuries he had sustained from resisting the eternal blazing sun for a day and a night. It's almost time to meet Tianwen. Tsinghui temporarily stopped cultivating and was about to get up and leave. However, just as he was about to leave, something on Bai Yu's corpse caught his attention. Tsinghui took a step forward and quickly took out an item from Jasper's corpse. It was a deep black pearl. This orb was similar to a pearl, but compared to a pearl, this orb had a whirlpool that was slowly rotating. The whirlpool seemed to have a mysterious power, and one could tell at a glance that it was definitely not an ordinary item. Tsinghui muttered to himself for a while. Then, he sent a wisp of his consciousness into the black pearl. As he sent his consciousness into the black pearl, he seemed to have arrived at an ocean filled with black clouds. This ocean was more majestic than any ocean surface he had seen overseas. Countless surging waves surged from the ocean, setting off tsunamis that were hundreds of meters or even thousands of meters tall. A large number of lightning bolts flashed wildly on the surface of the ocean. When Tsing Hui's consciousness was attracted by the ocean, a gigantic dragon whale beast that looked like a moving continent suddenly leaped out from the surging sea. Its huge body brought with it endless waves that splashed in all directions, causing even more terrifying tsunamis to form on the surface of the ocean. Waves that could be said to be at the level of destruction swept wildly in all directions, causing people to tremble and shock from the depths of their souls. As soon as it left the surface of the ocean, this terrifying gigantic beast that was thousands of kilometers long, like a continent, quickly transformed from a whale to a rock. Its wings covered the sky like a dark cloud that completely covered the void above its head. Looking at this terrifying gigantic beast that was filled with an ancient aura, Tsing Hui could not help but think of a name. Kuan Peng. Divine Beast Kuan Peng. Rumble. In the next moment, the world shook and the sun and moon were reversed. The gigantic beast with a wingspan of thousands of kilometers suddenly flapped its wings, and endless storms swept out in all directions. Like a hurricane of destruction, they set off giant waves that were tens of thousands of meters tall on the surface of the ocean. The entire sky seemed to be torn apart by the flapping of its wings. The mighty, magnificent, majestic, and imposing aura crazily attacked Tsing Hui's nerves, leaving an unprecedented spiritual mark on Tsing Hui that reached the depths of his soul. The scene stopped there. Tsing Hui's consciousness unknowingly withdrew from the Black Pearl. As he returned to his senses, a technique appeared in his mind. After a brief taste, Tsing Hui's face was filled with shock. This is the first 4 layers of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's divine scripture, the Chaos Hole Sutra. The Chaos Hole Sutra. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect's supreme secret technique. In the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, only the most core members or genius disciples with a reliable background who had awakened the Kunping bloodline had the qualifications to come into contact with it. She, Baiyu, was a mere spirit-refining disciple, and it was already her limit to read the awakening chapter of the Chaos Hole Sutra. What qualifications did she have to obtain the first 4 layers of the Chaos Hole Sutra? This was illogical. The Black Hole Sutra has an unbelievable advantage when it comes to controlling space. Although it's too early for an immortal level to mention space, its understanding of space is extraordinary. If I can master it, even without the Kuan Peng bloodline, it'll give me a great advantage in movement techniques. Tsing Hui ignored everything else and quickly put away the Chaos Hole Sutra. Such a treasure could not be leaked. Otherwise, if the Hunyuan Heaven Sect found out, it was very likely that they would send Immortal Stage 6 or even Saint Stage experts to hunt him down. Glancing at Jasper's corpse, he immediately unleashed a wisp of Golden Crow True Chi. The True Chi transformed into flames and burned in an instant. Before long, Jasper's deformed corpse was burned to ashes, completely erasing all traces of her existence in this world. After doing all this, Tsing Hui once again rose on his sword and flew towards the desolate Cloud Mountain range. Nothing else happened along the way. 4 hours later, Tsing Hui arrived at the agreed location with Tianwen. He focused all his attention and carefully inspected the agreed location. After confirming that there were no abnormalities, he rushed to Yin Huang's location. Yin Huang was sitting cross-legged on a flat rock, recuperating from his injuries. From his current miserable appearance, it was not difficult to see that he must have suffered greatly over the past few days. Swish! Tsing Hui's figure leapt and landed in front of Yin Huang. Only when Qing Su arrived 10 meters away from Yin Huang did he open his eyes in hindsight. He called out weakly, "Who is it?" After clearly seeing Tsing Hui's gaze, Yin Huang stood up, trembling all over. He endured the pain and weakness in his body and knelt on the ground. "Greetings, young master." Yin Huang thanks young master for saving my life. "You've suffered," Tsing Hui said solemnly. His gaze swept across Yin Huang's body and slightly sunk, Your cultivation, my chi has been crippled. Yin Huang's face revealed a trace of bitterness. To cultivate again, it would take at least 8 to 10 years. That's not a problem. After all, you still have the foundation of a spirit refining realm. As long as you have enough resources, a year or even half a year would be enough for you to return to spirit refining. You suffered because of me. I will not treat you unfairly. Seeing Huey's words made Yin Huang feel even more guilty, but young master wanted me to go to 100 Sea City to trade those peerless grade fire spirit stones. But they were all taken away by those bastards. It's all my fault for not opening up my personal space. If I did, I would have hidden those fire spirit stones in my personal space. Unless I die, they would not be able to take them away. It's good that you came back alive. Sing Hui knew that this matter could not be blamed on Yin Huang. Being targeted by a spirit and Chi Unity Realm Son of Chaos, anyone would have to admit that they were unlucky. This matter will not end like this. One day, we will make them pay the price. Yin Huang looked at Sing Hui and hesitated for a moment, but still said, "Young master, at that time, other than the traitor of dawn, Dragon Shadow, there was another person who attacked me. Even though her appearance was somewhat similar to when she was in the Primal Chaos Shrine, but she was quite similar to the leader of Dawn, Ling Yu." Ling Yu? Ling Yu's appearance flashed across Sing Hui's mind. His impression of this leader of Dawn was not bad. However, he would not doubt Yin Huang's words. If the one who attacked you is really Ling Yu, she actually walked together with Dragon Shadow, then this matter has become somewhat thought-provoking. Blazing Glory nodded solemnly. If I'm not wrong, Dawn might be a dark organization formed by Feather Moon to attract the Sons of Chaos to join and then hunt them down. Dragon Shadow's betrayal a few years ago might have been a self-directed act by Ling Yu and him. Their goal was to capture a large number of Sons of Chaos alive, torture them, and force them to reveal the Primal Chaos incantation, then sell it. You must know that in the Eastern Wastelands, a second stage Son of Chaos is usually worth the price of a 4th or 5th stage divine weapon, not to mention 4th, 6th, and 8th stage Sons of Chaos. Hunting Sons of Chaos is definitely one of the most profitable transactions. Sing Hui nodded. When he had just entered Dawn, he had used appraisal to check Ling Yu's strength. At that time, she had already reached the peak of the Spirit and Chi Unity realm. Furthermore, she was a 10th stage Son of Chaos. Young Master, how did you know that I was in an accident and rescue me? I was being interrogated by Dragon Shadow about the Primal Chaos incantation. He even pierced my spirit to prevent me from leaking the information, so I couldn't enter the Chaos Temple at all. I found it strange that you didn't return for a few days, so I asked Heaven's Inquisition to investigate. Only then did I understand the whole story. At this point, Sing Hui's expression changed slightly. Heaven's Inquisition is also a member of Dawn. Could he also be involved with Ling Yu? Not necessarily. The Divine Secret Pavilion is an organization that specializes in selling information. Information is their foundation. There are many members of the Divine Secret Pavilion, like Heaven's Inquisition, in both the Chaos Temple and the 10 Sacred Sects. Some of the higher-ups of the 10 Sacred Sects actually have their names in the Divine Secret Pavilion. From time to time, they would sell useful or useless information in exchange for some daily necessities. It's just that they aren't official disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion. No matter what, the inland isn't safe enough. We should leave as soon as possible. Once we're overseas, I'll need to open up an area where sea monsters reside and set up a usable trap. That way, if a peak immortal level powerhouse really comes, I can lure them into the territory of the overlords of the sea to seek survival. It's all up to you, young master. Sing Hui immediately took Yin Huang with him on his sword and headed overseas. Although Yin Huang had been rescued, it was a pity that he had lost all of his vital energy, causing him to lose a right-hand man that he could rely on. Chapter 143. In the process of returning to the mainland, Xing Hui more or less understood why those spirit and Qi unity realm cultivators did not dare to rashly step into the mainland. In the mainland, those who had reached the spirit and Qi unity realm were all big shots. At the very least, they would be able to oversee an island and become an overlord. But in the mainland, the 10 great saint sects controlled all the big and small sects, forces, and countries in the inland. They divided the land and resources cleanly. Unfortunately, each of the 10 great saint sects was incomparably powerful. Not to mention the unity of spirit and Qi experts in each sect, they even had a few dozen hall masters and law kings in the blue netherworld realm. Moreover, they sat on a large amount of resources, cultivated top-notch techniques, and wielded high-grade divine weapons. They were far superior to cultivators in the same realm as them. Under such circumstances, those unity of spirit and Qi experts would find it difficult to move forward when they stepped into the inland. Over time, they simply stopped coming. This resulted in a situation where, other than the 10 great sacred sects, there were almost no loose cultivators of the spirit and Qi unity realm. The consumption of imperial sword flight was too great. When Xing Hui was about to leave the mainland, he bought a large flying beast. Although riding a large flying beast was still unavoidable, at least he did not have to constantly stop and walk. As for warships, the resources of warships in the mainland were almost completely monopolized by the 10 great sacred sections. Occasionally, the forces that owned warships had strong backgrounds and were reported to the 10 great sacred sections. It was impossible to trade them. Xing Hui was not willing to cause any more trouble. While riding a flying beast was more comfortable, he also found Nalan Fei through the Primal Chaos Shrine. Once he entered Nalan Fei's personal space, Nalan Fei immediately stood up. "I am very sorry about the matter with Sir Blazing Glory. I did not expect that Mr. Qian, who had traded with me for more than 10 years, would have evil intentions. This kind of thing cannot be avoided." Xing Hui shook his head. Nalan Fei had also lost a loyal and devoted by Lansheng. As Nalan Fei advanced to the spirit-refining realm, the number of true Qi cultivators seeking refuge would slowly increase, and there would even be some spirit-refining cultivators who would take the initiative to join them. However, a loyal and devoted true Qi cultivator would be more useful than a newly recruited spirit-refining cultivator. Have you found out who did it? Do you need my help? Yes, but I will personally deal with this matter when the time comes. I have already gone overseas, and the inland is not safe for me. What happened? My identity as the son of chaos has been discovered by Suncha, sir. Furthermore, I used a sacred technique in front of him. Divine art. Nalan Fei's expression immediately turned serious. He knows that you're a son of chaos above level 10? Yes. A son of primal chaos who is at least level 10, and who doesn't have any backing is too tempting for divine Qi unity experts like them. It's a heavenly opportunity. It's good that you're heading overseas. Otherwise, Elder Zhuri wouldn't dare to let you off if you stayed in the continent. Now that you're heading overseas, he wouldn't dare to pursue you even though he's only at the divine Qi unity realm. Xing Hui nodded. He naturally understood this. After pondering for a moment, he decided to talk about the Black Hole Sutra. Apart from Elder Zhuri's threat, there's also Bai Yu. Not long ago, when I was planning to leave the inland, the battleship I was on was attacked by Bai Yu. She placed an eternal blazing sun on my battleship. Eternal blazing sun? The Jin Wu religion's eternal blazing sun. Then you. Nalan Fei's expression immediately turned serious. It was only when she saw that Xing Hui was still standing in front of her that she thought of something. She sighed in relief. It's good that you're fine. Although I'm fine, none of the 200 people on that battleship who belonged to Dragon Slaying Island survived. Since we've stepped into the world of cultivation, how can we not be precarious before we truly reach the peak? Nalan Fei sighed. After a moment, she said curiously, "The eternal blazing sun is a strategic resource of the Jin Wu religion. It's specifically used to intimidate the saint experts of the Create Evolve Mysterious Sect, Shenxiao Sword Sect, Wuji Sword Sect, Hunyuan Heaven Sect, and other forces. If dozens of eternal blazing suns were to explode at the same time, even a sane expert would die without a doubt. The Jin Wu religion actually sold such a strategic resource to Bai Yu, a direct disciple of the Hunyuan heaven sect. What did she take out to tempt the higher-ups of the Jin Wu religion? That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. Ching Su paused slightly when he said that. I discovered the cultivation method of the first 4 levels of the Black Hole Scripture on her. The Black Hole Sutra. This time, Nalan Fei's expression changed. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect's sacred scripture? That's right. Bai Yu is just an ordinary direct disciple. Even if she's a spirit-refining cultivator, she doesn't have the qualifications to come into contact with the Black Hole Sutra. Sky Origin Peak Master. It's Sky Origin Peak Master. It's no wonder that the Void Origin Peak Master has been so distracted recently that he ordered all the factions and followers under him to frantically search for Jasper's whereabouts. Jasper must have stolen the Black Hole Sutra from the Void Origin Peak Master. Nalan Fei immediately understood the crux of the matter. Half a year ago, Sky Origin Peak Master had some understanding of the Black Hole Sutra and specially went to the Sect Saint Pavilion to obtain a copy of the Black Hole Sutra. Although this copy isn't the main one, it's much more advanced than the enlarged version or the handwritten copy. The technique inside can simulate the divine beast Kuan Peng's unstoppable momentum. But you must have stolen that copy. That's right, I saw a similar image when I flipped through it. Nalan Fei looked at Xing Hui with an incomparably serious expression. This is a big problem. You must remember not to mention this to anyone, not even your father, your sister, or your future Dao companion. Otherwise, you'll definitely invite a fatal disaster. I know what's important. You're at Dragon Elephant Island? No, Dragon Elephant Island is too close to the mainland. For safety's sake, you should move further east. It's best to find a way to buy a sea map and head to the outer seas. The closer you are to the outer seas, the more Overlord-class sea beasts there will be, and the safer it will be for you. Head to the outer seas? Xing Hui frowned. I've already killed Bai Yu and destroyed all traces of her. Is it really that exaggerated? It's not exaggerated at all. The Black Hole Sutra is the foundation of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. It's fine if an ordinary person cultivates it, but if an enemy sect obtains it and decodes it, it could bring disaster to the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect. This matter concerns the future of the sect, so it's not excessive to treat it seriously. Currently, Sky Origin Peak Master has concealed this information and hasn't spread it. Once news of this leaks out, a colossus like the Hunyuan Heaven Sect will definitely go crazy. Moreover, they have a method to track down the Black Hole Sutra. Nalan Fei's gaze fell on Xing Hui. You've stored the Black Hole Sutra in your personal space, right? Yes, that's good. In short, collect a sea map of the outer seas as soon as possible. We have to leave before Sky Origin Peak Master can conceal this information. The 10 great sects are really domineering. They won't let go of anyone who's involved. Are they going to kill everyone? Xing Hui's expression turned a little cold. Xing Hui, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. You should know that once this matter is exposed, even Sky Origin Peak Master may face a calamity. Also, do you think that the 10 great sects' monopoly on high-tier cultivation techniques is a joke? You should be prepared to be hunted down by the other 9 great sects besides the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. These divine scriptures can fall into the hands of other sects, but they can't fall into the hands of forces outside the 10 great sections. I will leave the inner lands as soon as possible. I will pay attention to Sky Origin Peak Master's movements. If he can't conceal this information, I will notify you immediately. At that time, even if you don't receive a sea map of the outer seas, you will still have to take the risk and leave. Xing Hui frowned, although he felt a little aggrieved. But in the end, he could only nod. Just as Nalan Fei said, he couldn't let his emotions affect his decisions. Right now, he didn't have the qualifications to let his emotions affect his decisions with a colossus like the 10 great sections. If I join Skydome, will Skydome come out and deal with this matter? Join Skydome? Nalan Fei was taken aback. You've cultivated astral chi? Divine grade, astral chi? Sing Hui nodded. You can join Sky Dome if you cultivate divine grade astral chi, but this matter concerns the future inheritance of a local top sect. If the primal chaos organization behind the Hunyuan Heaven sect is willing to exert force, Sky Dome may not be willing to put pressure on the Hunyuan Heaven sect for a newcomer like you. I'll help you ask my master. But my master has recently obtained a treasure and is currently in closed-door cultivation. It will take 10 days to half a month. Wait for my reply. When the time comes, I will also ask my master to handle your application to join Sky Dome. Thank you, Sing Hui said, and left the Primal Chaos Divine Hall for the time being. On the bird, Sing Hui carefully recalled every detail of his encounter with Jasper. Jasper carried the Black Hole Sutra with her because she wanted to use it to kill him. Evidently, the Black Hole Sutra's awakening chapter had inspired her to come up with a worse plan. At least it was a plan to destroy both Jade and Common Stone. That Sky Vault is still far away in the end. Unless Aunt Nalen's master is willing to help me and expend his vitality to send down a clone to intimidate the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect won't let this matter go. If he wanted to intimidate the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, he needed at least a clone with the battle prowess of a saint expert. Such a clone had to be at least at the Azure Netherworld stage. Nalen Fei's master was far away in Heaven Wasteland and sent a clone at the Azure Netherworld stage. It would most likely be in a state of chi depletion for 3 to 5 months. The other party might not agree. It seemed that he had to rely on himself. Sing Hui pondered in silence. After a moment, Sing Hui's eyes turned fierce. The Black Hole Sutra can't be cultivated by people outside the 10 great sacred sects. Cultivators must die. He was determined to master the shattering vacuum within 10 years. But now, if a small Hunyuan Heaven sect could make him not dare to cultivate, even though he had a top cultivation technique and was driven away to the outer seas, how could he shatter the vacuum and return to Earth like Dongqian? He wasn't a pure martial artist, but he was still a disciple of the Dongyang Sword Sect. The disciples of the Dongyang Sword Sect should have a sword heart that would never give up. Biting off more than you can chew. Originally, I had the Great Sun Golden Crow art and the Illuminating Sun Sutra, so I wasn't particularly eager to cultivate the Black Hole Sutra. But now, I really want to see what will happen even if I cultivate the Black Hole Sutra. After Tsing Hui finished speaking, his gaze fell on Yin Huang, who happened to have his cultivation crippled. Yin Huang, there's an opportunity in front of you, but it also contains great danger. If you're not careful, you will die without a complete corpse. I wonder if you have the courage to try? Chapter 144. Opportunity. As Yin Huang's cultivation had been crippled, he was rather disheartened. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, he only raised his spirits and said, "If there's an opportunity, I'll do my best to grasp it. As for dying without a complete corpse, wealth comes from danger. How can one not pay a price to obtain an opportunity? Is that so? Remember what you said today." Tsing Hui took out the black pearl with an indifferent expression. "Take a look." Yin Huang took the pearl and quickly immersed his consciousness into it. This immersion lasted for half an hour. Half an hour later, Yin Huang suddenly woke up. His entire body was drenched in sweat, and his face was somewhat pale from the shock. However, his eyes shone with a terrifying light. "Young master, this is the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's sacred scripture, the Chaos Whole Scripture," Tsing Hui said casually. "The Chaos Whole Scripture. It's really the Chaos Whole Scripture." Yin Huang's reaction was fast. He instantly understood what Tsing Hui meant by danger. Without hesitation, he bowed to Tsing Hui. "Thank you for your generous gift, young master. I'm willing to cultivate the Chaos Whole Scripture. I won't regret it even if I die. Your cultivation has been crippled, but you still cultivated to the spirit-refining realm. The only regret is that the Luai's bloodline is different from the Kuan Peng bloodline. you won't be able to unleash the true power of the chaos whole scripture. It's enough. I'm willing to give it a try. Sing Hui responded. Even without the Kuan Peng bloodline, the chaos whole scripture, as a sacred scripture, contained various techniques that far surpassed ordinary movement techniques. The two continued forward and finally rented a battleship from a sea market thousands of miles away from the inner land. They headed to Dragon Slaying Island. After flying for 8 days, Dragon Slaying Island, which resembled a small continent, appeared before their eyes. Even though he had only left Dragon Slaying Island for a few days, when Xing Su set foot on the spaceport of Dragon Slaying Island again and saw the people of Dragon Slaying Island who had come to greet him, he actually felt dazed. His heart gradually calmed down as well, as if this was where he truly lived. However, thinking back to when the Void Origin Peak Master's Black Hole Sutra had been stolen, he couldn't help but sigh. "Welcome, Island Master." Many cultivators who were responsible for welcoming them at the spaceport shouted at the same time. These people were led by Acting City Lord Dan Taiying. Xing Hui nodded at them. "There's no need to be so courteous. Send them away. Dan Taiying, come with me." "Yes." Dan Taiying glanced at the weak, blazing glory behind Xing Hui, then glanced at the battleship that Xing Hui was on, which clearly did not belong to Dragon Slaying Island. He cautiously asked, "Island Lord, did you encounter some danger?" "I encountered an enemy who rewarded me with an eternal blazing Sunday. The battleship was destroyed, but that enemy was killed by me." Eternal blazing sun. Dan Taiying's heart trembled. To them, the Jin Wu religion's eternal blazing sun was definitely a legendary item. Their island master was actually ambushed by such an item. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Go and comfort the families of the cultivators who piloted the battleship. After Xing Hui finished speaking, he turned to blazing glory behind him and said, "You don't have to worry about anything else during this period. Cultivate well and take care of the Chaos Temple at the same time." "Yes, go." After Xing Hui let blazing glory leave, he turned to Dan Taiying and said, "Does Dragon Slaying Island have a sea map of the Outer Sea?" "Outer Sea?" Dan Taiying was slightly startled and hurriedly said, "The area near the Outer Sea contains endless dangers. Our Dragon Slaying Island is less than 40,000 kilometers inland, but there are already some rank 6 sea overlords nearby. From time to time, there will be rank 7 sea beasts that are equivalent to Saint Realm experts. The closer we are to the Outer Sea, the more terrifying sea beasts there are. If we are within 80 to 90,000 kilometers inland, rank 3 and rank 4 sea beasts will become commonplace, and there will also be many rank 5 and rank 6 sea beasts. As for the sea overlords and lords, without exception, they're all rank 7 or even rank 8 sea beasts. Other than those big shots on the Divine Dragon ranking, very few people dare to explore those areas. The Dragon Whale Island Lord can be considered an overlord within 40,000 kilometers, but he still doesn't have the courage to enter those dangerous areas." "No. Do you have a map of the sea overlords near the Dragon Whale Island?" "Yes. I will bring it to young master," Dan Taiying said and quickly retreated. The map of the sea overlords was usually the top secret of these large islands. It should be known that the reason why the overseas forces could resist the encirclement of the 10 great saint sects was because of these sea overlords. Because they understood the habits of these sea overlords and knew their distribution, they could lead the experts of the 10 great saint sects into the sea overlords' traps time and time again, and then be hunted down by the sea overlords. However, once the map of the sea overlords was spread out, the people of the 10 great saint sects would be prepared, and this trump card would lose its effectiveness. No matter how vast the overseas region was, it could still be completely annihilated by the 10 great saint sects. Therefore, such a treasure could only be held by the island lord and a few others. This was also the reason why Dan Taiying didn't dare to order his subordinates to go over and had to go get it himself. "Island Lord, please take a look." This is the information of the sea overlords that our Dragon Slaying Island has, as well as some shared information of the sea overlords. Dan Tying carefully handed over a map. This map was the reason why the overseas islands were able to survive under the oppression of the 10 Great Saint sects. Sing Hui took the map. The map only covered a radius of 10,000 kilometers in detail, and the rest were a little intermittent. Although there wasn't much information recorded and the information wasn't very detailed, the number of sea overlords on the map was still shocking. 22 rank 5 overlords, 19 rank 6 overlords, and 3 rank 7 overlords of the Saint Realm? Yes, all the overlords in this area are basically on the map. Even if there are some missing, there won't be more than 5 of them. Ching Su's gaze searched for a while, and it soon landed on the area where the 3 Saint overlords were. As Sing Hui flipped open the book that came with the map, the information of one of the overlords of the Saint Realm appeared before his eyes. Xuanwu, rank 7 Xuanwu. This overlord of the sea should be the elder sister that the Xuanwu cub mentioned, who was suspected to have died on the battlefield in the open sea. The overlord of this vast sea was a rank 5 Jiuying. Furthermore, it could be a Jiuying that had transformed into a saint beast. Of course, as a Saint Xuanwu, it definitely had more than one rank 5 dire beast under it. It was just that the Jiuying was more powerful. After the Xuanwu cub was driven away, this area of the sea had obviously become chaotic, and there was no end to the war. This could be seen from the frequent eruptions of the underwater volcanoes. Although the overlords of the sea are powerful, as long as they haven't reached the level of a saint beast, their intelligence is usually not high. In addition, during the Divine Wilderness, humans hunted the sea beasts crazily, causing them to have a deep-rooted hatred for us humans. With a little bit of use, they would relentlessly hunt down humans who trespassed on their territory. Back then, the Dragon Whale Island Lord had a great enemy of the Blue Netherworld realm, but he stole the egg of the Ice Snake Overlord and threw it at the Blue Netherworld realm powerhouse. In the end, the Ice Snake Overlord chased the Blue Netherworld realm powerhouse for 3,000 kilometers and swallowed him whole. Sing Hui knew that the Ice Snake Overlord was a rank 6 overlord not far from the dragon-slaying island. Dan Tying stepped forward and marked the 6 rank 5 and 4 rank 6 overlords of the sea. He said, "If the island lord needs it, these 10 overlords of the sea could be used by us. Rank 5 and rank 6 overlords of the sea are not enough. I need the help of a saint overlord of the sea. This Hunyuan whale's movement is slow, so let's put it aside for now." As for this deep freeze squid, it seems to be easily attracted by the blood of the myriad spirit beast. Go and prepare some blood of the myriad spirit beast. The blood of the myriad spirit beast is expensive. I'm afraid Dan Tying was a little puzzled. We know the movements and habits of these 10 overlords of the sea. If an immortal realm level 6 powerhouse comes, we have room to deal with it. Why? Just go and prepare. The price is not a problem. Yes. Dan Tying respectfully left. Deep freeze squid. Rank 7 sea beast. Using the sea beast to kill people is ultimately a bad idea. Once the sea beasts are full of food or delayed by other matters, they will immediately be in danger. One's own strength is the foundation. Sing Hui's gaze fell on the remaining Great Sun essence. Breaking through to the Spirit Refining Realm took 2 Great Sun essences. Spirit Refining Realm and True Chi Realm were different. Condensing Earth Chi required more True Chi. As for the remaining Great Sun essence, even with the help of the Phoenix Feather, it would still be difficult for him to reach the small success of the Spirit Refining Realm. Unfortunately, the dozens of fire spirit crystals that should have been in his hands were lost because of Dragon Shadow's interference. Otherwise, with the help of these fire spirit crystals, he might be able to reach the small success of the Earth Chi within 2 months. 10 days passed in a blink of an eye. The last Great Sun essence had been refined by Sing Hui. However, just as Sing Hui had deduced, it was still a step away from reaching the small success of the Earth Chi. I have to make a trip to Longxiang Island. Even if I can't get the fire spirit crystals, I can get some fire attribute extreme great spirit stones. As long as I have 3 to 5,000 extreme grade fire spirit stones and spend a few months polishing my earth chi, I should be able to reach this small success of the earth chi. Sing Hui made up his mind. With a flash of his mind, he appeared in the primal chaos temple. The day he entered was the day he and Nalan Fei agreed to enter Skydome. As for the Dawn organization, the primal chaos temple did not restrict one from joining a primal chaos organization. It all depended on the organization's rules. Moreover, after knowing that the one who ambushed Blazing Glory was most likely the leader of Dawn, Ling Yu, he naturally did not want to stay. Pak Hui, you're here. As Sing Hui stepped into Nalan Fei's personal space, Nalan Fei immediately stood up. Sing Hui nodded at her. Then his eyes fell on a woman behind her in a purple robe, who had an ethereal aura. This is my master, Purple Sky Enlightened Master, one of the core members of Skydome. Greetings, Purple Sky Enlightened Master. Congratulations, Your Excellency Pak Hui, for being able to cultivate divine-grade Earth Chi. However, since Your Excellency Pak Hui wants to join Skydome, to ensure the authenticity, I have to descend and meet Your Excellency Pak Hui. Therefore, I need to leave a spiritual imprint on you to confirm your location. Chapter 145. Sing Hui had already learned about the standards of the Celestial Vault from Nalan Fei. He nodded slightly and released a wisp of spiritual force to form an imprint. I await your arrival, Purple Sky Enlightened Master. The Purple Sky Enlightened Master sensed Sing Hui's spiritual imprint carefully. Please wait a moment. About half an hour later, she opened her eyes again. Your Excellency Pak Hui, I'm heading over. Almost at the same time, a mysterious force suddenly descended from the sky in the courtyard of the city lord's mansion. It swept through the heaven and earth Yuan Qi and began to condense into a human form in the courtyard. Not long after, it was 80% similar to the Purple Sky Enlightened Master in the Chaos Temple, but it was obvious that it was an incarnation that was gradually taking shape. Although the Eastern Wilderness isn't the furthest continent from the Infinite Wilderness, it's still tens of millions of miles away. The incarnation isn't condensed enough. The Purple Sky Enlightened Master moved a little after descending. Sing Hui nodded slightly at the Purple Sky Enlightened Master. He had once made a deal with Sword Master Bai Hung. Both of them were incarnations, but compared to Sword Master Bai Hung, the Purple Sky Enlightened Master's incarnation was clearly much weaker. Even the spiritual pressure she exerted on him was no exception. This incarnation of mine is only at the 2nd level of the immortality realm, but I'm still at the 5th level of the Saint realm. At the 2nd level of the immortality realm, it's enough to fight against more than 90% of spirit refining realm cultivators. Your Excellency Pak Hui, let me see the power of your divine grade Gang Chi. Excuse me, Sing Hui said. He easily drew out a 3rd level divine sword. In the next moment, blazing golden crow chi erupted from the sword's edge and condensed into Gang Chi. The terrifying heat caused the void to distort. Before it even got close, the incarnation of the Purple Sky Enlightened Master was already on the verge of collapse. However, the Purple Sky Enlightened Master was still a big shot at the 5th level of the Saint Realm. His spiritual power was many times stronger than Sing Hui's. He easily suppressed the incarnation that was on the verge of collapse. At the same time, he clenched his hand, and a sharp sword condensed from energy formed. He slashed it down, and the two energies collided fiercely in the void. Buzz, a ripple visible to the naked eye spread out. The collision of the two energies did not dissipate any energy. It was like the scorching sun and ice and snow melting. In the end, the powerful Golden Crow Chi only managed to defeat the Purple Sky Enlightened Master's Chi with a slight advantage. The Gang Chi's scorching aura of Chi dissipated could not harm the incarnation of the incarnation. It's actually the Gold Crow Jin Chi. It's so ferocious and domineering. I've underestimated it so much so that I couldn't precisely control all my energy. Reverend Purple Xiao waved her hand again, and the aftermath of the dispersing golden crow vital energy was also eliminated by her. You're qualified to join Sky Dome. I'll fill out the application form for you later. When Reverend Purple Sky reached this point, he looked at Qing Su and said, although your true qi can be condensed into gang qi, both of them are too scattered. As a result, you can't even unleash 30% of your true qi's power. Gang qi should be able to crush true qi easily, but when your gang qi condensed from the golden crow's true qi collided with my ordinary true qi, it didn't gain much of an advantage. In the end, it's because your control and utilization of true qi is too low. Utilization efficiency? That's right. It's just like how an iron sword can penetrate an iron plate even though it's made of iron. If you can precisely control every bit of your true qi and accurately understand the target's weakness, you'll be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. The Purple Sky Enlightened Master smiled. Among the 6 realms of saints, the first is qi, the second is qi, the third is qi, the third is ceaseless, the fourth is Jindan, the fifth is magical ability, and the sixth is Dharma image. The second realm of transformation requires you to control your own power to the extreme, to the point of being able to exert 20% of your qi's power. Controlling your qi to the smallest detail is an essential ability to step into the realm of transformation. Large sects often attach great importance to this issue and consciously guide their disciples from the qi realm. Although you're only in the spirit refining realm, it's not too late to pay attention to it now. Otherwise, once you get used to it and step into the realm of spirit and qi unity, you'll need to exert several times more perseverance to correct it. Xing Hui was slightly startled. After a moment, he understood the Purple Sky Enlightened Master's good intentions. He immediately said, "Thank you for your guidance. Since you've entered my Heaven's Dome, you're naturally a member of my Heaven's Dome. In addition to your relationship with Qingyu, there's no harm in asking me some small questions." "Yes," Xing Hui responded. Seeing that the Purple Sky Enlightened Master was about to leave, he hurriedly asked, "I heard from you just now that there are 6 realms for a saint. The first is true essence, the second is transformative state, the third is ceaseless state, the fourth is golden core, the fifth is divine ability, and the sixth is Dharma image. But I've read in an ancient book that there are also sword momentum, domain, and vacuum shattering. What realms are these?" "Oh, you actually know about sword momentum, domain, and vacuum shattering? It seems to be information passed down from the ancient times of the divine wilderness." The Purple Sky Enlightened Master paused for a moment. With the destruction of the divine wilderness and the scarcity of resources, it's extremely difficult to cultivate the realms above the Saint Realm. Fortunately, there are many treasures in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, so the realms above the Saint Realm haven't been reduced to legends. There are many books with similar information. The sword momentum you speak of is actually a high-level form of sword intent. Just like how there's initial success, great success, and consummation of true qi and gang qi, sword intent is the same. If there's a breakthrough after consummation of sword intent, there's sword momentum. If there's a breakthrough after consummation of sword intent, there's sword momentum. What about domain and vacuum shattering? Xing Hui had a vague feeling that things were going to get worse. Vacuum shattering. It seemed to be far from as simple as he had imagined. Dharma Idol is the final realm among the 6 realms of the Saint Realm. Above Dharma Idol is the brand new world known as the Divine Realm. The first realm is the Domain Realm. A cultivator condenses a domain, and their every move and word has immeasurable power. As for vacuum shattering, it's often used to describe a cultivator's unimaginably powerful strength. I don't know what realm it is. Perhaps I know too little about the 6 realms of the Divine Realm. Xing Hui's figure trembled slightly, and his face turned somewhat pale. Vacuum shattering. Although he didn't know whether it represented a form of power or a realm of cultivation, the Domain Realm was the first realm of the Divine Realm above the Saint Realm. Dongxian took 300 years to form the domain and 1,000 years to shatter the vacuum. Just from his point alone, one could tell how difficult cultivation was. The time he took to reach vacuum shattering was more than 3 times the time it took to go from the first mortal realm to the first divine realm. Now, nearly 2 years had passed since he set the time limit for himself, but he was still miles away from the domain realm. There were only 8 years left. How could he cultivate vacuum shattering? How could he return to Earth without vacuum shattering? Really, could he only pin his hopes on the teleportation technique bestowed by the Chaos Temple? Pak Hui, seeing Tsing Hui's abnormal expression, the purple sky enlightened master called out. Tsing Hui came back to his senses and realized that the purple sky enlightened master was still there. He forced himself to return to normal. Sorry to have kept you waiting. With your current cultivation, knowing too much won't do you any good. Try not to ask about things above the Saint Realm if you can. I understand. All right then, I'll take my leave. Wait for my good news. Farewell, Purple Sky Enlightened Master. After Tsing Hui finished speaking, the Purple Sky Enlightened Master nodded. Very quickly, he turned into an energy hurricane and swept out in all directions. It was like the airwaves formed by the attack of an expert of the unity of spirit and chi realm. After a while, the airwaves gradually weakened and dissipated. After the purple sky enlightened master left, Tsing Hui stood alone in the courtyard, speechless for a long time. Because the guards outside the courtyard had received his orders in advance, they didn't enter and remained loyal to their duties. He stood there for an entire night. It wasn't until the next day's sunlight pierced through the early morning clouds and shone on Tsing Hui's eyes that he woke up from his despondency. After a while, his eyes gradually became spirited and sharp. 8 years shattering the vacuum has become an extravagant hope. In that case, I can only pin all my hopes on the teleportation technique. I need to advance to the 30th level of the Sun of Chaos as quickly as possible and use the teleportation technique. Currently, he was at the 18th level of the Chaos. It would take him more than 3 years to reach the 30th level of the Sun of Chaos. If the teleportation technique was really reliable, he might even return to Earth earlier than expected. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui slowly calmed down. Next, he still needed to focus on cultivation. The review on Tianqiong's side was very fast. On the 3rd day, Tsing Hui had already received news from Nalan Fei. Then, under his lead, he conjured a spell and directly appeared on a mountain peak with birdsong and fragrant flowers. Living creatures? Tsing Hui looked at the mountain peak for a while. Then, his gaze immediately fell on a group of creatures that were spreading their wings and soaring like red-crowned cranes. This personal space belongs to Master Tianqiong, one of the 10 core members of Tianqiong. It's called Tianqiong Realm. Master Tianqiong is also one of the 4 earliest founders of Tianqiong. Nalan Fei explained with a smile beside Tsing Hui. The entire Tianqiong realm spans 30 to 40 million kilometers and can accommodate living creatures. It's the true foundation of Tianqiong. At the same time, it's also the foundation that allows Tianqiong to continuously absorb cultivators. Although every Son of Chaos has their own secrets, since you want to enter Tianqiong, you still have to abide by some basic rules. Come with me. As she spoke, she had already led Tsing Hui toward the peak of the mountain. Tsing Hui followed closely behind. However, after walking forward for a while, he seemed to have thought of something. He abruptly raised his head and looked toward the horizon. There was a sun hanging in the sky. The sun emitted a vast amount of heat, forming an endless radiance that completely illuminated half of Tianqiong realm. In the dazzling light, Tsing Hui could vaguely see a majestic figure swimming slowly in the sun. That's a golden crow divine beast. Although he was already mentally prepared, after hearing Nalan Fei's confirmation, Tsing Hui still couldn't help but keep looking at the sun. That's right, a golden crow divine beast. Although it's an immature golden crow divine beast, in terms of combat strength, it's even stronger than a peak saint expert. There's actually such a divine beast in Tianqiong. The golden crow is just one of the divine beasts. When you understand Tianqiong better, you'll realize that this force is far more shocking than you think. In fact, Tianxiong is similar to the 10 saint sects. They also have the concept of contribution points. As long as you contribute enough to Tianxiong, Tianxiong can do anything for you. Even if you want to cultivate on the sun and observe the Golden Crow Divine Beast up close, it's not difficult at all. The protagonist has finally joined a force. Everyone, can you vote for him? There are less than 3,000 recommendation votes every month. Chapter 146. Observing the Golden Crow. Xing Hui looked up. Coming from Earth, he knew very well what kind of existence the sun was. The surface temperature of the sun had reached 6,000 degrees, and its center was 20 million degrees. Almost no life could survive there. But now, such a terrifying star was actually formed by living creatures. What kind of miracle was this? How inconceivable was this? This Golden Crow was subdued by the combined efforts of the 6 experts of the Sky Dome Empire. With the help of the power of the Golden Crow, the core of the Sky Dome Empire was reheated and radiated with boundless radiance. This is only one of the powerful features of the Sky Dome Empire. In the Sky Dome Empire, not only can one observe many divine beasts, including the Golden Crow, there are also various divine weapons and top techniques. These divine weapons and techniques are from all the continents, including the Sky Dome Empire. Isn't this no different from a sacred land? Xing Hui said sincerely as he looked at this completely real world. Sacred land? Nalan Fei smiled. Although I have never been to Heaven Wasteland, I have some understanding of the distribution of forces on Heaven Wasteland from my conversations with others. In Heaven Wasteland, there are 1 hall, 3 sects, 6 religions, and 9 gates, whose status is equivalent to the 10 great sects of Eastern Wasteland. However, the so-called 1 hall, 3 sects, 6 religions, and 9 gates are inferior to the 10 great organizations of chaos. For example, the Divine Punishment Hall is as powerful as any of the 9 great sects, but because it offended Heaven Vault, it was trampled by the experts of Heaven Vault. More than 90% of its experts were killed, and its entire sect was razed to the ground. In Heaven Wasteland, the 10 great organizations of chaos are more powerful than these Sacred Land sects. If you really want to compare them, the 10 great organizations of chaos are naturally slightly stronger than the 1 hall, 3 sects, 6 churches, and 9 gates. However, not all of the 10 great organizations have their headquarters in Tianhuan. Furthermore, the 1 hall, 3 sects, 6 churches, and 9 gates have sensed the strength of the 10 great organizations and have constantly sent many experts to infiltrate the 10 great organizations. Currently, there are quite a few high-ranking members of these sects and sacred grounds in the chaos organizations as well. For example, one of the 10 core members of our firmament, Venerable 3 Wonders, is a venerated elder of the 6 sacred sects. As Nalan Fei spoke, she had already brought Xing Hui to a rather magnificent hall. The main hall was slightly deserted. Although there were some people coming and going, there were only a dozen or so of them. Nalan Fei stepped forward and said to a young woman. The young woman suddenly looked at Xing Hui with some surprise, her eyes faintly carrying a trace of envy. A moment later, with the woman leading the way, Nalan Fei and Yang Kai once again entered the hall. In the hall, a man who looked to be about 50 years old and exuded an immortal aura was flipping through a book with great interest. Even though there was no presence or pressure in the chaotic divine hall, Qing Su could still sense that he was extraordinary just by looking at him. Even if he was sitting casually, he was completely in tune with the surrounding heaven and earth. Anyone who saw him would not be able to find the slightest flaw between him and the outside world. This is Venerable Tsang Zhen, who is in charge of the registration of our firmament disciples. Don't think that his status is ordinary just because he is in charge of this. In fact, he is not only a member of the 10 core members of our firmament, but also one of the 4 founders. However, he is already old and does not care much about the affairs of our firmament. so he has requested to sit here and review the registration of the disciples of our firmament. Nalan Fei introduced carefully. The firmament was established 1,400 years ago, which meant that Venerable Tsongzhen had lived for at least 1,400 years. In 1,400 years, even an ordinary person could become a top expert. The woman, Nalan Fei, and Tsing Hui stepped forward and bowed one by one. Greetings, Venerable Tsongzhen. Oh, little Yuling and Qing, you are here. Venerable Tsongzhen put down the book in his hand and chuckled, appearing rather amiable. A moment later, his gaze also fell on Tsing Hui. He clearly did not use the appraisal art, but when he looked at Tsing Hui, it gave him the illusion that all his secrets had been seen through. This is Pak Hui, right? I have been waiting for you for a long time. Venerable Purple Xiao has already told me that the Golden Crow vital energy is very domineering. If you can cultivate the divine grade, lawful embodiment of heaven and earth one day, you will definitely become a top warrior of our firmament. Venerable Tsongzhen said enthusiastically. Venerable Purple Xiao is too kind. Tsing Hui said, among the divine beast bloodlines, there might not be any difference in superiority, but there was a difference in specialization. Just like the divine beast Qilin, which was a mythical beast, if it fought to the death, it might not be able to defeat the divine beast White Tiger, which specialized in metal. There is also the divine beast Kuan Peng, which roamed the world and came and went without a trace, but in a head-on battle, it was no match for the Great Sun Golden Crow. In terms of fighting ability, the Great Sun Golden Crow could definitely be ranked in the top 3 among the divine beasts. Come, I will register you. In addition, these are the rules and regulations of our firmament. Take a look. Qing has already explained it to me. Tsing Hui said, well then, condense a spiritual imprint and leave it behind. This is considered an official entry. Hearing this, Tsing Hui stepped forward and left a spiritual imprint. This spiritual imprint could only be controlled by the sword-bearer, and even the leader of firmament was not qualified to explore it. Only when this member violated the rules of firmament but was unwilling to be punished would the sword-bearer release the spiritual imprint to lock onto his position and kill him. Not long after Tsing Hui handed over his spiritual imprint, Venerable Tsongzhen had already handed over a small book and a small badge to him. Here it is. The badge represents that you are a member of firmament. There are roughly 5 types of members of firmament: peripheral members, official members, high-ranking members, council members, and core members. As for positions, they are part-time, such as me, the master of the book creation hall, the deputy leader of firmament, and Xian Qi, the sword-bearer. Positions are mainly judged by the contribution to firmament. Those who have cultivated divine-grade Gang Qi are naturally official members. If you want to be promoted to a high-ranking member, there are 3 ways. First, cultivate divine-grade Hunyuan. Second, reach 100,000 contribution points. Third, reach level 20 chaos. It is written in the book. You can read it yourself. Tsing Hui nodded. By Su, any official member of the Celestial Dome of Heaven will have the opportunity to observe the true body of the divine beast they cultivate. Since you cultivate the Golden Crow's true Qi, you'll naturally be able to observe the true body of the Golden Crow. Do you plan to go now, or wait for a while? Tsing Hui's heart moved. I can't wait to see the power of the Golden Crow. Well, I happen to be free today, so I might as well take you there. Nalan Fei did not understand, and hurriedly said, why don't you thank Venerable Tsongzhen? On the other hand, Yuling seemed to understand something and suddenly became speechless. Haha, put on this dazzling yang bead. Only with this can you survive in the periphery of the sun. Take it easy, let's go. Seeing that Tsing Hui had agreed, Venerable Tsongzhen split a part of his Zhen Qi and pulled him directly into the sky. Accompanied by waves of space shuttling, they actually crossed tens of millions of miles unknowingly. However, Tsing Hui knew that this was not because Venerable Tsongzhen had the ability to travel through space, but because the Lord of Firmament Realm had given him a similar ability. allowing him to travel thousands of miles in an instant in this world. As Tsing Hui got closer and closer to the core of the sun, the light emitted from it became more and more intense. If it was an ordinary person, they would have been blinded by the light. However, Tsing Hui was a cultivator of the Golden Crow Jin Qi, and the Golden Crow Divine Soul was formed in his spiritual world. When the Golden Crow Divine Soul was in the awakening realm, it changed his physique, causing him to not be afraid of strong light. As for Venerable Tsang, an old monster who had lived for God knows how many years, naturally, he was not afraid of light. The two arrived outside the sun, and with a leap, they immediately appeared on the surface of the sun. At this time, the dazzling yang bead on his body emitted a circle of flowing light, protecting him from the true flames of the great sun that were everywhere. Standing here, Ching Su could already see a mythical creature that was constantly roaming about in the rolling heat flow. Even with the dazzling yang bead blocking him, Tsing Hui could not truly feel the divine might of this mythical creature. However, its huge body and the true flames of the great sun that shot out from each of its feathers still shocked Tsing Hui from the bottom of his heart. Pak Hui, I have a great opportunity for you. Do you want it? Venerable Tsang said with a mysterious expression. Opportunity? Please tell me, Venerable Tsang. Right now, there's a great sun in front of you. You cultivate the bloodline of the Golden Crow. In front of the Golden Crow and surrounded by the great sun, if you were to cultivate in such a place, what do you think? Tsing Hui's eyes lit up. Then, as if he had thought of something, he said, Right now, I am only in my spiritual form. Even if I cultivate, it's true that you are in your spiritual form, but the sky dome realm is real. Even the blazing sun above our heads and the divine beast, the Golden Crow, are real. Why can't I cultivate here? Venerable Tsang said, and coughed slightly. Of course, we still need to use some methods. The incarnation technique can project energy to hundreds of millions of miles away. If we use some tools, we could do the same. You don't need to ask about the specific process. You just need to give me a spiritual imprint of yours and pay me 3 Taoist rhymes. I guarantee that whatever realm you cultivate to here, your true body will also reach. There is actually such a divine technique. When Tsing Hui heard this, he was naturally tempted. With the Golden Crow's true body in front of him and being able to cultivate in the great sun, how much would his cultivation level increase after a period of time? It would not be difficult for him to break through a realm. However, I don't have any item that contains 3 Taoist rhymes. Then you can owe me. I don't need you to write an IOU. Just remember to pay me when the time comes. It's settled then. Spiritual imprint. Tsing Hui once again split a portion of his spiritual energy and condensed it into a spiritual imprint. After receiving Tsing Hui's spiritual imprint, Venerable Tsang directly dripped a drop of golden liquid onto Tsing Hui's body. Instantly, Tsing Hui's body became more substantial. It felt like a flesh and blood body. Send all of your spiritual energy here. Tsing Hui did not dare to relax. He immediately announced that he would go into seclusion on the dragon-slaying island. He focused all of his spiritual energy on the Sky Dome realm in the Chaos Shrine. At this moment, the droplet of golden liquid showed its effects. Ching Su immediately sensed that his body was no different from his body in the real world. He could clearly sense the essence of the sun that was as vast as an ocean in the core of the sun that surrounded him. Chapter 147. All right. There was a trace of pain in Tsang eyes, but he quickly covered it up. With a face full of joy, he said, You can stay here and observe. I will slightly adjust the isolation strength of the dazzling sun bead for you, and let a part of the great sun essence flow into your protective cover. You can use the great sun essence to cultivate with all your strength. However, according to the rules, you can't stay here to observe and cultivate for more than 30 days. How much you can temper your soul in 30 days depends on yourself. As soon as Tsang finished speaking, he patted the protective cover formed by the dazzling sun bead around Sing Hui's body. Suddenly, a horrible heat mixed with the extremely pure sun true flame rolled over this. Sing Hui suddenly opened his eyes. The sun essence flowed into his body like a torrent. After a little practice, he felt that he was completely immersed in the sun essence, and the endless sun essence was inexhaustible. Brat, I've already given you the opportunity. In these 30 days, you better stay alert and don't slack off for even a moment. If you dare to walk around carelessly or get distracted, you'll miss out on this opportunity that I've given you. From now on, don't even think about getting any benefits from me. All right, now focus your mind and make use of every second to cultivate. I'm busy, so I won't be watching you. When the time comes, I'll take you away. Songjin said sternly. Yes. Sing Hui answered immediately. A cultivator of the great sun gold crow spell could sit on the sun and cultivate openly. Even a master of the gold crow sect might not have such a great opportunity. Who would be willing to waste even 1 second of their time? At this moment, Sing Hui had already observed the divine beast golden crow to improve some of the small flaws in the practice of the sun golden crow skill. Seeing this, Song Jun nodded with satisfaction, and then his figure flashed, and he had already shuttled away. Not long after, he appeared at the other end of the core of the sun, which was less than 1,000 miles in diameter. There was a woman who looked to be in her 40s, full of grace, and was cultivating. At this moment, his face was no longer as dignified as before. Instead, he had a fawning look on his face. Sister Lee, you're still cultivating? After these few years, Sister Lee's true phoenix fire has become even purer. It looks like you won't need much time before you can use the true phoenix fire as a foundation to cultivate the even more tyrannical true sun fire. Why are you here again? Didn't my brother say that you can't easily step into the core of the sun? The woman called Sister Lee glared at Master Tsang angrily. Well, a boy who has awakened the bloodline of the Golden Crow wants to observe the Golden Crow real body. This is my duty, so I brought him here, guard, to see Sister Lee on the way. How long can you observe the Golden Crow real body? 2 hours is more than enough. Why do you have to make another trip here? The woman said angrily. That boy's comprehension is amazing. After observing the Golden Crow real body, he actually had an epiphany. It's a rare opportunity. According to the rules of our sky, once he has an epiphany, he can stay here for a maximum of 30 days. So an epiphany is a good opportunity. Seeing this, the woman didn't know what to say. Okay, you stay aside. I have to cultivate, and I don't have time to talk to you. Sigh, Sister Lee, listen to me. I recently found a phoenix sacred beast. Sigh, Sister Lee. Sing Hui didn't know what was happening in the other direction of the core of the sun. At this moment, he was concentrating all his attention on observing the Golden Crow real body in front of him, making his divine soul more solid. The Golden Crow divine soul was formed by imitating the Golden Crow, and no matter how hard one tried to imitate the Golden Crow, it couldn't compare to the real Golden Crow. After seeing the Golden Crow real body with his own eyes, Sing Hui clearly felt that he had a new understanding of the first 3 stages of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. The efficiency of his cultivation was faster, and the Golden Crow divine soul in his spiritual world was more realistic and agile. The changes of the Golden Crow divine soul directly changed Sing Hui's physical body, making his affinity and resistance to fire improve silently. At the same time, he also took out the fire phoenix feather. The essence of the great sun flowed into Sing Hui's body like a torrential river, enriching his Golden Crow real chi. After being continuously compressed by his body, Sing Hui became more condensed. His gang chi, which was close to the level of initial success, silently broke through the first barrier, but this was only the beginning. With such a unique environment, his cultivation was advancing by leaps and bounds at every moment. His gang chi had reached the level of initial success, and he didn't even care about consolidating his cultivation level. On the second day of cultivation, his Gangxi had broken through again and stepped into the level of initial success. After 3 days of delay, on the 5th day of Tsing Hui's arrival at the periphery of the Great Sun, Tsing Hui's Gangxi had advanced by leaps and bounds to the level of initial success. After his Gangxi reached the level of initial success, Tsing Hui could have continued to cultivate and rushed to the level of unity of spirit and qi. The Golden Crow Divine Soul was so solid and real that he already had the qualifications to do so. However, Divine-grade Gangxi was still Divine-grade Gangxi. Every inch of Divine-grade Gangxi contained unimaginable power. Once unleashed, it could even turn a third-grade divine weapon into molten iron. How could such a powerful Gangxi be subdued without sufficient sword intent? Although Tsing Hui's spiritual level had reached level 46 and had undergone a transformation from death to life under the bombardment of the eternal blazing sun, his spiritual level had advanced to level 47. However, compared to subduing his blazing and domineering Gangxi and achieving unity of spirit and qi, it was still far inferior. If he couldn't subdue his Gangxi, how could he achieve unity of spirit and qi and advance to immortality level 4? Moreover, he only had the first 3 levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, and he didn't have the Great Sun Golden Crow technique to achieve unity of spirit and qi. For a moment, he had no choice but to stop cultivating the Great Sun Golden Crow technique and quickly shift his attention to the Illuminating Sun Sutra. Cultivation level was the foundation of everything. The essence of the Great Sun was freely available, and in this unique environment, he needed to maximize every second he had. The Illuminating Sun Sutra was a cultivation method derived from the bloodline of the Torch Dragon. Although the Torch Dragon soul, created by Tsing Hui, was somewhat different from the Torch Dragon recorded in the Illuminating Sun Sutra, it was still crowned with the nickname of the Great Sun True God. Absorbing the essence of the Great Sun would also bring immeasurable benefits. However, compared to cultivating the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, the efficiency was much lower. After a full 4 days, Tsing Hui pushed the Illuminating Sun Sutra from the initial stage of the True Qi realm to the Spirit Refining realm and refined the Red Yang Gangxi. He spent another 12 days to condense the Red Yang Gangxi to a small success. Compared to the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, this cultivation efficiency was more than 10 times slower. Seeing that the 1-month deadline was closing in, and according to this trend, he wouldn't be able to advance the Red Sun Gangxi to the Deshang stage in the remaining 9 days. He immediately changed his direction, and his gaze fell on the offensive method derived from the 3rd layer of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Every layer of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique had extraordinary attacks. However, these attacks often required the assistance of precious resources and were not easy to cultivate. Tsing Hui wanted to shatter the vacuum as soon as possible and was unwilling to spend too much effort on these attacks. Thus, he did not study them. But now, there was an opportunity. Moreover, the 3rd layer of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique was equivalent to the embryonic form of the eternal blazing Sunday. Only by cultivating this technique to the point of perfection could he attempt to refine the eternal blazing Sunday Red Crow soul. He would condense the extremely pure Golden Crow Zhenqi into small golden crows and feed them to the Zhenqi in his body. At the critical moment, he would release them and detonate them after hitting the target. Every Scarlet Crow soul was equivalent to his full strength attack. The initial stage of the Spirit Qi could refine 1 Red Crow soul. The small success stage of the Spirit Qi could refine 3 Red Crow souls, and Tsing Hui's perfect stage of the Spirit Qi realm could refine 9 Red Crow souls. Once this technique was used, it was equivalent to the combined attack of 9 experts who had refined the divine grade Golden Crow Qi. Its power was truly unstoppable. Tsing Hui immediately used all his strength to refine it. An endless stream of energy was drawn by him and condensed into Red Crow souls. Failed. No problem. The surrounding Great Sun essence was endless. There was no need to worry about the problem of consumption. If he failed, he could just continue. Under such circumstances, Tsing Hui used 6 days to refine all 9 red crow souls. During this time, he failed no less than 100 times. It should be known that every red crow soul was equivalent to the condensed true chi essence of a perfect stage of the spirit chi realm. If he wanted to replenish and compress so much energy, he would need to spend an unknown amount of time. If he relied on the great sun essence and other items, he would need to spend 3 or 4 red crow souls. Tsing Hui failed 100 times to refine 9 red crow souls, which was equivalent to wasting 300 or 400 great sun essences. With so much great sun essence, it would not be difficult to buy 3 or 4 true eternal blazing suns. In the remaining 3 days, Tsing Hui did not cultivate. Instead, he constantly tried to refine the red crow souls, striving to reduce the failure rate to the lowest. Finally, when the success rate of refining the red crow souls had been raised to 60%, Master Tsongzhen's loud shout came. "All right, kid, 30 days have passed. If you stay any longer, that old man Tsongxion will definitely find trouble with me. End your cultivation." What a pity. If I had another 3 to 5 days, I could have raised the success rate of refining the red crow souls to 80%. Tsing Hui felt a little regretful in his heart. "Kid, there is one thing you have to remember. This opportunity is given to you by me. You must not spread it out. If others ask why you stayed for a month, just say that you were too fascinated by the golden crow divine beast's true body and had an epiphany. Do you understand?" Tsing Hui knew that this opportunity was not ordinary. What he had gained in this month was not something that could be exchanged with 3 Tao rhymes. Naturally, he would not talk about it. "I understand. Let's go. Remember what I said. Don't spread it around. Otherwise, I will hold you accountable." Master Tsongzhen once again sternly repeated. "I will remember." "That's good." Master Tsongzhen waved his hand and once again wrapped Tsing Hui and fell straight to the ground. As he once again shuttled through layers of space, not long after, the square of the book creation hall appeared in front of him. Chapter 148. Esteemed Master. As soon as they arrived at the book creation hall, Yuling, who was specially guarding here, immediately stepped forward and saluted. Zongzhen, esteemed master, nodded, and at the same time glanced at Tsing Hui and said with a serious tone, "I can see that you have double awakened and cultivated 2 bloodlines, but you have to be careful. There are 2 divine beast souls in your body, and they are subtly transforming your body. If you don't control this well, or if your body can't withstand the transformation of the 2 divine beasts, you will turn into a monster. Therefore, if you really want to continue on this path of dual cultivation, you can't slack off on training your body. When your level of chaos increases in the future, you have to increase your recovery characteristics. Only then will you be able to boldly temper your body without worrying about leaving behind any hidden dangers. Thank you for your guidance, Master Tsongzhen." Zongzhen, esteemed master, shook his head. Young people nowadays are really arrogant. It's true that the power of dual cultivation is amazing, but how can it be so easy to make achievements? If you don't have the guidance of a top expert, it's too easy to have problems. Especially in the prominent divine stage, when the power of 2 battle constitutions is on your body at the same time, I'm afraid you will explode and die. I think it's better for you to cultivate the Golden Crow bloodline and let the Golden Crow bloodline devour the other bloodline. In this way, not only will the Golden Crow bloodline become stronger, but your cultivation path will also be more stable. "I will act according to my ability," Tsing Hui said. Zongzhen, esteemed master, saw that he was stubborn and didn't force him. Everyone had their own cultivation path. Those who could cultivate divine grade aura chi were all dragons among men, and they were full of confidence in themselves. Only when they hit their heads and bleed would they know what to choose. In a while, you can leave directly, but when you leave, you have to be careful. The moment your spirit returns to your body, the golden blood, which is specially used to break the barrier between the Chaos Temple and the real world, will bring the power in your body to your real body. Your body will face the pressure of skyrocketing power, and if you can't withstand it, you will die. My recovery characteristics are relatively high. Is that so? A third or fourth level recovery characteristic is enough, but you can't avoid suffering. Go. Yes. Sing Hui responded and left the Chaos Temple. Unlike when he left the Chaos Shrine in the past, when he left the Chaos Shrine this time, he felt like his entire body was sinking to the bottom of the lake. This sinking lasted for a few breaths of time. In the next moment, the sinking feeling suddenly disappeared, and the feeling of returning to his body filled his entire body. The feeling of reaching the completion of the third level of the Great Sun Golden Crow skill and the minor success of the third level of the Candle Sun Sutra also flowed through his body. The only difference was that this body had never carried this kind of power before. Even though his spirit had already adapted to this power, he still felt like his body was about to burst. In an instant, a large amount of blood seeped out of his pores. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and absorbed all the true qi into his body at the first moment. Even the 9 scarlet crow souls were dormant. Only then was he able to reduce the burden of the majestic true qi on his body. Even so, his clothes were unavoidably dyed red with blood. My strength suddenly increased by so much. My body can't adapt to it. Fortunately, my recovery ability has reached Tier 5. Sing Hui's expression was calm. Next, he began to consciously and slowly circulate the true qi in his body. Wherever the true qi passed, his tendons and meridians could not bear the burden. However, the powerful recovery ability of the Tier 5 true qi repaired all the damage done to his tendons and meridians in an instant. Again and again, it was damaged, repaired, shattered, and reborn. His body was adapting to this sudden increase in power at an extremely fast speed. After 10 days, the Golden Crow True Qi and Scarlet Yang True Qi ran rampant in his body, no longer causing any damage to his body. However, Sing Hui still did not relax. In one breath, he cultivated from the early spirit refining realm to the peak of the spirit refining realm. The gap in cultivation was really too big, and the sudden increase in true qi was not as smooth as his heart's desire. He still needed to polish it carefully. He did not need to reach the level of Taoist Master Purple Sky, where he did not waste a single bit of true qi, but at least he needed to be able to command it like an arm. Just like that, another 20 days passed. Calculating the time, it had been 2 months since he returned from the mainland to the sea. 2 months was not a long time, but in terms of cultivation compared to 2 months ago, the current him was not just a little bit. Primal Chaos Temple. Sure enough, it's good to enjoy the shade under a big tree. The convenience of entering Sky Vault is many times faster than gathering resources and cultivating by oneself. No wonder countless cultivators want to join the 10 great sacred sects, to join a top organization like Sky Vault. No wonder those who stand at the peak often come from the 10 great sacred sects. Sing Hui sat on an armchair in his personal space, muttering to himself while waiting for Nalan Fei's news. At the same time, he glanced at his own attributes. Sing Hui, Primal Chaos level, rank 18. Recovery, rank 5. Comprehension, rank 4. Sword talent, rank 3. Sacred technique, rank 2. Divine protection, rank 1. Personal space, rank 1. Appraisal, rank 1. Advancement, rank 1. It was created specifically to use the 7 emotions and 6 desires to refine one's spirit. In addition, you can ask those high-level experts to use their spirit to shock and refine your will. Or you can borrow a divine weapon that contains boundless sword intent and use the sword intent of the divine weapon to test your own sword intent. However, opening the 6 desires law world, asking high-level experts to help, or renting a divine weapon requires contribution points. Without contribution points, others may not be willing to help you. Sing Hui nodded. I plan to contribute the first 4 layers of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Black Hole Sutra, and then use the contribution points exchanged for the Black Hole Sutra to exchange for the 4th layer of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. I wonder if there will be any hidden dangers. Of course not. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect is domineering in the eastern wilderness, but they can't control Heaven's Vault Realm. However, if you're hunted because of these techniques, Heaven's Vault Realm may not appear to protect you. I understand. The biggest difference between Chaos organizations and Holy Lands was that they were a collection of interests. Their cohesiveness was far from comparable to that of Holy Lands. Even the existence of a sword wielder was more of a deterrent than a practical one. If Heaven's Vault Realm started a war with another powerful Chaos organization without bringing any benefits, most of the people in Heaven's Vault Realm would abandon them. If the sword wielder dared to chase after them, the reputation of the entire organization would be completely ruined, and it would be very difficult for new members to join. As time passed, Heaven's Vault Realm would gradually weaken until it was swallowed up by its enemies. Then go. However, I can't be sure if Heaven's Vault Realm has already recorded the Black Hole Sutra. I'll go ask. After saying that, Sing Hui's figure dissipated, leaving his personal space. He formed a hand seal and appeared in the Sky Vault Realm. Then, he headed straight for the library. Soon, he arrived at the floor of the library. Although it was called a library, this place seemed to be quite automated. There were a large number of platforms in the hall that could prevent identity badges. Once an identity badge was placed, a light screen would pop up, and one could search for the desired information on the light screen. Sing Hui first searched for the Black Hole Sutra. When he saw the information on it, disappointment appeared on his face. Heaven's Vault Realm recorded the 1st to 6th levels of the Black Hole Sutra in detail. The exchange cost 5,000 contribution points, or 50 Taoist rhymes. After a moment, he flipped through the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Heaven's Vault Realm recorded the 4th level, which cost 4,000 contribution points, or 40 Taoist rhymes. The price was too high. He couldn't afford it. He had already cultivated the Great Sun Golden Crow technique to perfection and couldn't cultivate it further. The progress of the remaining Illuminating Sun Sutra was slow. The 3 Unity of Divine Qi experts summoned by Yun Tao are about to arrive. I hope I can find some unexpected gains from them. Otherwise, I'll really have to follow Xuanwu Cub to lure Jiuying and try my luck at his sister's cave abode. The cave abode of a saint-level Xuanwu. The collection can't be too bad. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.